Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Another week, another episode. This is Stats Over Politics. I'm your host, Shaun Holko, alongside my guys, Jaevon, Toddy, Gary Singh. Kevin Dent isn't with us tonight because he is enjoying the holiday weekend with some family. He'll be back again with us on Monday for our regularly scheduled episode. And we're back here on a Friday night. We're trying to get some more Friday episodes. We weren't able to have an episode on Monday night, so we got to give you that content here for this week on a Friday. So because we didn't have a show on Monday, we're going to get into the NBA and the NFL today. And we're excited. So let's not waste any more time. But I want to hear how my guys are doing. Jaevon, what's up? How you doing?
Trying to get over the old turkey day yesterday. Turkey hangover. Still got a bunch of leftovers left, so probably gonna eat some leftovers after this.
Yeah, the tryptophan is no joke. Gary, how are you doing?
Chilling, my guy. Just excited to chop it up on this Friday about some sports. It's been a minute, so let's get into it.
Hell yeah. And for those of you wondering how Kevin's doing, he's doing great as well. As he checks in on the YouTube comments. He says, Have a great show, fellas. Light the beam, as the Kings did tonight. He is wearing the Bring the Roar shirt, and so we are very happy about that. And so, Kevin, I appreciate you. You just tossed me the lob. Toddy, stop insulting us Ohio State fans. Toddy's picking Michigan. I'm going to ignore him. Anyways, Kevin tossed me the lob because the Kings beat the Timberwolves tonight, 124-111. They finished their 6-game road trip 4-2. And the Kings are now in control when it comes to their fate in the inaugural in-season tournament. As the Kings are now 3-0 in the in-season tournament, they can clinch the West Group C with a win against the Warriors on Tuesday. And the Kings, they won tonight in Minnesota against the Timberwolves to hand the T-Wolves their first home loss. They were 7-0. They are now 7-1. The Kings did it by double digits, as I already mentioned, winning by 13 points. And so the best part of it to me, guys, is that the Kings started the 6-game road trip by giving the Lakers their first home loss, and then they end the road trip by giving the Timberwolves their first home loss. So, Jaevon, I'm going to kick things off with you. Obviously, you are the unbiased one on this panel as a Celtics fan, but what have you thought of the Kings' recent road trip going 4-2?
They kind of hit a little bit of a rough patch in the New Orleans stint and kind of let Zion and Brandon Ingram kind of go crazy. And that was pretty much the only thing that I saw on the road trip that was like, and I thought that they were a better team than the Pelicans. I just think Zion and Brandon Ingram pretty much got hot. And that was kind of the low point, you would kind of agree, in the road trip per se. But as far as tonight goes, I mean, they beat the number one team in the Western Conference, which is the Timberwolves, who were number one. I don't know if they still are currently now as far as seeding goes, but I think the Kings are just, when De'Aaron Fox plays, they pretty much have a shot to beat anybody in the league. And that's kind of what I've been pretty consistent on even when De'Aaron Fox was out with injury. And I was like, Like, you guys lost to the Rockets. The Rockets are actually kind of good this year. And you're seeing these teams that they're going up against and they're winning. And De'Aaron Fox, you look at the box score, 40, 38, 36, 35. Like, these are MVP-like numbers. And then Sabonis, no push over you. And these are two of the All-Stars that two of the guys that made the All-Star team last year. And it's been a while since the Kings have had, two All-Stars on one team. And I feel like the Kings, if they're playing at this level, they can beat pretty much anybody on any given night. And it's just being consistent. Me and Shaun have always talked about on these road trips, you want to go, 5-1, 4-2, because they'll add up, as the season goes on, because the season is kind of just in increments, because each week, each team plays at least 3 to 5 games, depending on what their schedule is like. And for those road trips or homestands, you want to go, 4-1, maybe even 6-0, or 3-2 at the least. You don't want to be dropping stinkers and losing 3 games in a row. That's the old Kings way. That was pre Mike Brown, when they would lose 4 or 5 games in a row and be like, oh, the Kings on a 6-game losing streak. That's kind of not the case now, because there's an expectation set now for this Kings team on getting a taste of going to the playoffs, and being the number 3 seed. So a lot of people kind of think that, that Kings stint last year, it was kind of, the Cinderella. We always talk about the clock striking midnight, as I was talking about Josh Dobbs on, him turning into an ogre. Pretty much happened last week. We didn't get to talk about it a lot, but a lot of people were thinking that same thing for the Kings. The clock might strike midnight, and, they're going to turn into, the ugly stepsister. And I don't think that's the case here in Sacramento. I think they have a legit MVP candidate in De'Aaron Fox, and they have, a top 5 big man in this league in Domantas Sabonis. And I feel like when those two are playing at a high level, as they were tonight, and you had Malik Monk, who apparently doesn't give a fuck about our parlays, had 17 points off of the bench. When you got, guys like that contributing, and then you got guys, you're getting, healthier as the season goes, and Trey Lyles coming back, being a 3-point specialist, and a guy who can, get rebounds for this Kings team. And you got guys like Kevin Huerter, stepping up, and we kind of saw him last season kind of going to the shitter a little bit and, disappeared. But I'd say just the beginning of this season, he's been playing lights out. And when everyone is pretty much doing their job and De'Aaron Fox is a top, legit top 5, MVP candidate, this team is going to be very scary, not just for the Western Conference, but for the NBA.
Most definitely. And Kevin Huerter, he had maybe 2-3 games earlier this year where he had a couple rough shooting nights, and then he kind of got threatened for his starting job, and he has been playing very great ever since, as he was really the catalyst that got the Kings going early tonight in Minnesota, hitting a couple early threes in that first quarter. As I think the stat was that the Kings, they were 8 for 14 in the first quarter against the Timberwolves tonight, which totally made up for the eventual free throw disparity. In the fourth quarter, it was 24 of 26 free throws for the Timberwolves, and the Kings were 5 of 6. De'Aaron Fox was attacking the cup on nearly every single possession, and he was hardly getting any foul calls. And so, to answer your question, Jaevon, in regard to the Timberwolves in the Western Conference, they still are now tied for first place with the Oklahoma City Thunder at 11-4, and the Kings are now in 6th place at 9-6. 2 games back of first in the conference, and obviously it's very early here in the season. So, Gary, as Jaevon had mentioned, the only 2 losses that came on this road trip were in New Orleans. And so, overall, how do you feel about this Kings 6-game road trip that they just finished up?
I think Bond put it, perfect on the money, to be honest with you, and the way we're trending right now. I think so far, Bond mentioned the Cinderella story that people are thinking around the league. People are maybe still sleeping on us in a sense. I don't think actual teams in the NBA are sleeping on us. Maybe just fans of other teams are not really, counting us in the upper echelon, being a top 3 seed last year, top 4 seed, hovering around that area. And, a lot of fans around the league, which is, you could be seen as true, where they're saying that, we were injured last year. We had a little injury bug luck in terms of we didn't really get that injured. So, play more regular season games and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at a record right now, last 10 games, if you go in increments, I like to look at the NBA in 10-game increments. We're 7-3. I know we went 4-2 on the road trip, which I think is a great outcome for us. I think that we're playing with more intensity than last year, especially on the defensive end. I feel like our offense, it's the same guys, and we had a couple more plug-and-play guys like Von mentioned that we got in the offseason. I feel like those guys are getting acclimated as well. I feel like we're feeling a little bit pretty bigger with JaVale McGee. Alex Lynn is out right now due to an ankle injury. So I feel like we're trending in the right direction in terms of the 2 losses that we took. Like Von said, you can go 4-2. That's pretty good. One of those losses, were really bad. I'm saying we got to spank you. But it's in the NBA. Anyone can get spanked anytime, and 20-point leads aren't safe anymore like we've seen tonight or any team. It's just not us. It's like just watching my dad. He's used to watching, like, back in the day, more type basketball, and he's like, 20-point lead, like, how are we losing it so fast? I'm trying to explain to him how, like, last 5 years, more threes and more things are going up. So, like, it's more easier to make a comeback. I'm saying? A lot of great players on the floor nowadays that can race those things and flip the whole game around. So those things happen. I feel like that, yeah, we got some little things to fix in terms of, not getting killed by, Zion and Ingram. But sometimes those guys are just being special and they win those type of games. So I feel like overall, I feel like the Kings are heading in the right direction. And I think we should be looking, we could have a chance to win this tournament. And I think that, we should be a top 4 seed when looking into it.
Well, before we get into whether or not the Kings will win the tournament, I wanted to ask you guys, will they make it to the knockout round? Because they now hold their own fate. We have, I know Toddy and I both have this ESPN game of West Group C between the Golden State Warriors and the San Antonio Spurs on in front of us. And the Kings, they play the Warriors on Tuesday. And if they win that game, then they do clinch Group C, and then they advance to the knockout round. And so they're in control there. I believe that we all maybe think that they will advance to the knockout round, but I'm not going to assume. Let's go around the panel real quickly. Jaevon, I'm going to start out with you. Do you think that the Kings ultimately win Tuesday against the Warriors, a team that they've had trouble with in the last season and a half? Or what do you think?
Is that a home game, or are you guys on the road for that
home game?
Home game. Warriors
back-to-back home games this week.
Warriors have been kind of spotty since you guys have been playing them, but every time you guys play the Warriors, you guys just shit your pants for some weird reason. I have no idea why.
Thank you.
But based off of what De'Aaron Foxes look like and what the team has kind of looked like, despite those like weird Warrior games, and there was like a couple of calls that kind of didn't go your way. I think it was in the last time you guys ended up playing them. They got some questionable calls, and they were at home. I'll probably end up picking the Kings. And in one of those games, Steph Curry had like 45 or something like that, and like everybody else had like 9, 10, 11, those type of points. I feel like the Kings have kind of evolved a little bit. Like, we've seen the emergence of Kevin Huerter and, guys like Malik Monk scoring for them off the bench. So ultimately, I think the Kings will probably be slightly favored in that game too come Tuesday. Wouldn't know what the line is now because it's Friday and there's a whole bunch of games going on through the weekend. But at home, they'll probably be favored by what I'll say 2.5, 3 points. That'll probably be where the line will be. So I'll probably end up taking the Kings to win on Tuesday night. Is that your guys' next game, or you guys have like another game in between that?
No, that is the next game. Okay. It's pretty weird, just given the fact that I know that they play it on Wednesday, and now they're back on Friday. Thanksgiving sandwich between
road
the two.
Trip, end of a road trip, Thanksgiving.
That does make sense. Yeah, that does make sense. Give the guys a couple days
a little
off
family time.
Yeah, to try and actually celebrate Thanksgiving rather than just with your teammates on the road. Garry, what do you think? Do you think, I know that you'll be in the building for that game, but do you think that the Kings get the job done against the Warriors?
Yeah, I think, I don't really agree with Von. I know they've been getting us last few times since Game 7. We also got to realize, I feel like, if you want to go back to the series real quick, we were up 2-0 in that series, you know what I'm saying? And this last game that we did, but I'm saying we had some good games. This last game that we played them in Warriors, Clay hit a tough shot, you know what I'm saying? And we were right there after Sabonis hit a backboard shot which they were daring to shoot all series last game. So it was good to see that. So I feel like, they might just have our bug. They might have our, what do you call it? Have our
number.
You have our number there. Our number the last few games. But I feel like we're there neck and neck. Curry sometimes, is being amazing. But I just feel like The Kings also right now, which I've been loving to see, De'Aaron Fox, you can just tell, is just taking over, being a beast. Sabonis is doing what he did last year, showing that this just wasn't 1 year. So I just feel like we're trending in the right direction. And yeah, there's going to be some hiccups along the way, but those hiccups are going to be good for us in the long run. You feel me? Because last year, we actually lost to the Timberwolves team. They had our number last year in a sense, I'm pretty sure. I remember them beating us a few times last year. So
Correct.
Us beating them tonight too, I feel like it's a good, a good little step in the right direction to get that monkey off our back. Small things just to add up in terms of just for the season. It's a long season, as you guys know, and we're trending in the right direction. But like Vaughn said, it's not going to – Warriors, we play a similar way. Obviously, we know Mike Brown was previously used to coach there. We play – it's always a great game, to be honest with you. We all play – we were shooters. We play small ball in a way, in a sense. So it's going to be a great game. I'm going to take my Kings in that one. But just FYI, Draymond Green comes back from suspension, I think, that game too. So that'll be juicy, That's going to be – I think – hopefully it's on televised Tuesday night. It's going to be, like you said, Shaun, it's going to be a tournament game. The court will be painted again. They'll bring that painted, but bringing out the blue court and gray court. So that'll be cool to see. So let's see. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. So it'll be cool. It'll be another good test for us. It's going to be a good test for us.
And yeah, it's
It's always a playoff game and go to win, it feels like.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And plus, I'm looking right now.
The Draymond thing, he's definitely been suspended.
And the Warriors are 2-8. Last 10, 2-8. So they need some wins too. They're 2 games under 500. I don't think they want.
The Warriors have been playing very spotty. Like they haven't really been playing that well, and the Kings have been playing well. So, and the game would be at home, so that would probably be why I would lean towards the Kings in that game.
And also, that game will be on TNT. So we'll get to have
national TV, huh?
National TV
up in the world. Welcome.
And I love seeing the Kings on ESPN, but rather than having a pregame crew that consists of an analyst like Kendrick Perkins, the Kings will get a good treatment where they'll get
Shaq.
Kenny the Jet Smith, Shaq, Charles Barkley, and the GOAT, Ernie.
We gotta make sure we like the beam that night. We gotta like the beam that night. I'm not gonna lie.
Have to. Toddy, what's your question?
I was gonna ask, will they be like at the game? Because sometimes they'll be like in the.
Probably not.
Nah, not regular season.
They only do those. They do that like opening night, All-Star game.
Yeah.
Probably a playoff series. Yeah, but as far as just a November game, probably not.
But they will be coming. Western Conference Finals. It might come, Vaughn. It might come.
So we all agree. I will agree with you guys and make it unanimous that I think the Kings are playing really well lately. And yeah, you had a couple of hiccups in New Orleans, but that could also come down to just the overall schemes and matchups and how it favored New Orleans. But we all agree that the Kings will beat the Warriors on Tuesday. And we're actually not all homers. Jaevon just made the pick with logical reasoning. And so I guess we're not all homers here. Anyways, just to finish up this Kings segment, Garry kind of alluded to it, talking about the Kings' chances to win the in-season tournament. And so 2 more questions for you guys just in regard to that before we move on. First of all, Jaevon, I wanted to ask, do you think the Kings will win the in-season tournament? And also, if they do, what would be the significance of it? Like, is it a big deal or is it kind of just like,
It's not a big deal. I'm sorry. I get like the whole.
But the Celtics won it, though. It'd be a big deal, huh?
It still wouldn't be a big deal. I'm still just like Bones Highland. I don't know what the hell's going on. I just know the group stage, you got to win your group, and basically there's a knockout round, and this, that, and the third. If you win, you get $500K a piece. So I understand that element. I heard Damian Lillard I saw him like in an interview basically say like how much that $500K would be because like there's other players that, are making $60 million.
Tax.
Yeah. So it's like, for, star players like him, he's on like a $60 million deal. So that $500K really isn't that meaningful to him. But, to the 12th and 13th guy on the bench, it's like, that might be, a little bit more significant. So it's like he's playing more for them. And, they're, a lot of people don't have as long as a time span in the NBA. He was kind of like breaking it down to that sense of how much the $500K would mean, to those other type of players, those two-way guys that are kind of fighting for a roster spot. How much that would actually mean. That would change a lot of people's lives. So I totally understand it from that standpoint. But as far as the significance of, winning and trying to win an NBA championship. I don't think it's anywhere close to that level. And how, I mean, LeBron's taking it real serious because he was he was talking about it too. Like, hey, like it's 500 on the line, so he's.
Hey man, I don't know why you acting like I don't know. Dame part this 500. That's like at least their vacation or something. 500 is 500 now. It's a house.
I mean, obviously there is a monetary standpoint of how significant it would be, but I don't know if everyone's taking it as serious as everyone is. But I mean, obviously everybody would want to win that extra $500K, but how is it going to get them ready for the playoffs, or how's it going to get them ready for those late playoff games? And this is something that's going on in December where teams really start ramping up, like pretty much after All-Star break. That 25 game stretch after the All-Star break is kind of when I feel like everything kind of starts to pick up. And that's when I thought that they should have did the in-season tournament, because there could be playoff implications on certain games, and obviously the monetary gain that it could get from people. So I feel like if you would have had the in-season tournament kind of tie into like the winner gets a playoff spot, or the winner gets a play-in spot, something along those lines, I feel like that would have made it a little bit more. I'm not saying it's not competitive, but it'd be a little bit. I feel like it would get a lot more eyeballs on where it was, because it being in December is kind of just like there's still football going on. There's like a lot of stuff kind of going on. I feel like in February it's kind of like, all right, it's basketball. Football is already over by then, and everyone's kind of watching, I think, a little bit of NHL, but basketball is kind of the main sport around that time. But I don't really think there's that huge of a city. I picked OKC to win the in-season tournament.
You bet it?
I didn't bet it, but I'm probably gonna gamble on the in-season tournament, like when the knockout rounds start coming on. But as far as like who's gonna win the group, I have no fucking idea.
Well, it's probably not going to be Oklahoma City Thunder, and it's not just because they've lost a couple games, and we'll leave it at that. But Gary, I wanted to pose those same questions to you, Gary. First of all, do you think the Kings will actually win the in-season tournament? And if they do, is it significant at all?
To be honest, I know that I was seeing something like basically explain. I watched some people explain it so many times, and it's so funny. I guess Shaun probably knows too. I bet you everyone and around the world does this in all the sports. They have in-season tournament, knockout style like this, soccer and things of that nature. So I kind of like in the aspect that, America always does everything, quote unquote, in the opposite. Everyone goes by this time system, this measurement, we always do the opposite. So it's cool that, NBA is indulging, because they are, a world game in a sense. Out of all the American sports, I feel like they're the most diverse in terms of the world, having the most touch around the world and people watching. So I feel like that's cool. In terms of for the Kings winning, I have no clue, Shaun. I'm not going to lie. I have no clue if they're going to win or not, because it's like, Shaun, it's like the March Madness. NBA Madness, basically. Anything can go down. Anyone can win a game. So it's not like a series where you really got, we're like something. You can end up getting a little lucky, in March Madness. The best team doesn't always win, you know what I'm saying? But one thing I feel like, Von, I feel like the players are doing, they might not take it as like, oh, we got to win this game because it's an in-season tournament. I think they're also taking this as like, I think also the coaches you've been seeing, I've been talking about, because I've been watching some coaches who speak about this in the NBA, and they're basically saying like it's like a new, like a little goal. I feel like the reason they didn't do it, maybe at the end, it's me just guessing, obviously, because I was thinking why don't they do a little bit more after football and things of that nature. I think they want this section, to be started in the NBA, that people are taking more seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a little something on the line here. You know what I'm saying? Also, this is also going to take, it's just something new, splashy, I feel like, to help the league, to, take it more a little serious. Also, it gives a little incentive to coaches. All right, this in-season tournament game, maybe they might say it like that, but in terms of like, this is a good test for us. You know what I'm saying? It's a good test, early season test. So I feel like that's been, especially when I feel like main thing also, I feel like the crowds, man, like a lot of the fans has been jam-packed, you can feel like a lot of these games, some of these games are feeling like playoff environment and the court being changed. So I feel like that's cool. I feel like, Vonny, you had a good idea right there too, saying that I feel like maybe next year, like like they kind of did with the, the play-in tournament. There's a little, maybe a couple of fixes next year, so maybe more incentive. Like you said, I don't want to give a whole playoff spot away. Like, I don't want no team that's 2 whatever, 82, whatever, making the in-season somehow they won 4 or 5 games and they're in the playoffs now and they're getting whacked by the first seed. Like, I feel like maybe they'll do, like, if you're top 4 seed, you get 1 bump or something like that, in a way where it's not like, it's still a little bit implication, I guess, for playoffs. So I guess Superstar, everyone will take it serious. But I think we're in the era now where it's kind of turning, guy. I'm looking at the standings, man. It's like a lot of these teams got young superstars. Every team has something I feel like to fight for, and they got something to do. So I feel like people kind of are sleeping on, like, and actually, no, I don't think they're sleeping now. I think I don't know if you guys seen, like, a lot of the ratings and things are going up because of this. And I don't know if it's because of the in-season tournament, but overall the ratings have been good so far in the NBA. And so, like Vonn said, usually people don't care, but like you said, if Kings lose, let's say, hopefully not, knock on wood, because we're Kings fans here, me and Shaun. Hopefully they lose 10 straight. All right, it's really bad. You're not going to make the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So every game, like you say, look at Phoenix, Minnesota, Houston, they're playing hard. They're not in the playoffs. Golden State, it's on the Portland, Trailblazers, Utah, Memphis when they get a job back. Some of these teams are horrible, not horrible, but like they're tough teams to beat. So I feel like every night in the NBA is a challenge now. So I feel like people are getting caught up at the end of the year, like, damn, we should you're counting up games. We should have played this game. We should have took this game serious. We shouldn't, So I feel like this naturally, I feel like the NBA just being more competitive right now because every team got a couple superstars or a couple young bucks trying to go get some W's for their team. So I feel like overall, it's not just because of this in-season tournament. I feel like overall the NBA is just going into the right direction. So I feel like this is an extra chip.
I honestly really love this NBA in-season tournament so far. As far as domestically, we've actually seen this with the WNBA and not just with overseas, even though overseas is where it started. They kind of sampled it in the WNBA, and now they have it obviously in the NBA. But in the WNBA, they kind of did the same thing where they made regular season games into Commissioner's Cup games, and then ultimately just the top 2 teams made it to the Commissioner's Cup final, and it was just the 1 extra game. The NBA did it pretty similarly, as in all of these games are going to be a part of your regular schedule, except I think the semifinals and the finals of it are the only ones that could be added games. And so I love this because, as Gary was saying, it really just makes the beginning of the regular season much more interesting. When the Kings played Oklahoma City in that first in-season tournament game, I was kind of like, this is cool, I guess, like exciting, extra stakes. But when they played in San Antonio against Wemby on ESPN, that was the first time I was like, all right, this is a more important game. And then obviously they were playing in Minnesota tonight. And not only were the Timberwolves the number 1 seed in the Western Conference going into it, as they still are, but they were undefeated on their home court. And also they were in the same group as the Kings, obviously. And so the Timberwolves wanted to stay undefeated just as much. But the Kings, I got you, Gary. I'll toss it back to you in a moment. But they took care of business. And the thing that I loved about this game specifically tonight the most in Minnesota is that the Kings had a 22-point lead in the first half. And Gary, you touched on this earlier, as you said you were talking to your dad about it. But they had a 22-point lead in the first half, lost that lead, go into halftime up 6. And then they rebuilt that lead in the third quarter. And for the most part, carried a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter on the way to a win. I just think that it was a great road trip overall for the Kings. Obviously, you want it to be perfect, but it was a great road trip, and I'm loving this in-season tournament so far. And fuck it, I'm just going to go full homer. The Kings are winning the in-season tournament, and it matters. What are your final thoughts, Gary?
I was just going to say, do you guys think it's like a spark? Like, I know, Vonn, we're not going to equivalent to a championship ring, I feel like, obviously. But I feel like it's a good spark, like, for any team to win in Houston Rockets, any team, Dallas Mavericks, and go to the West, the East Coast too. Any team in West, the Chicago Bulls. We know they're trying to blow things up. But, I'm getting random team. Orlando Magic, 11-5, starting off great. If they win this, that's a good little confidence booster, good little spark, I feel like, for a team. Even though you're going to hold a cup up in the middle of the season, you know what I'm saying? But you're still going to have some confidence. I feel like it's a really good boost for any team that wins this thing too. So, and for the fan base, you should be psyched if you win.
I think so, especially for a franchise like the Kings. I think it definitely helps a lot, the fact that the Kings made the playoffs last season and broke the drought. But, like, how everyone was joking about if the Kings were to make the play-in tournament, and then if they won a play-in game, it would be just nuts in the streets. That's how we were all joking before they obviously got the 3rd seed. the nation will probably clown Sacramento if we win the in-season tournament, and I don't think we would have a parade, but we would have a celebration.
Don't worry about the chip. We got the right type of guys. We'll probably keep it pushing.
Patrick
Beverly.
Well, yeah, exactly. Full on Patrick Beverly. And my final thought on that, and why I think this in-season tournament championship will matter is I always circle back to the WNBA just because they were the ones to try this out first. And last season, the Las Vegas Aces, they won the in-season tournament, and all the players kind of said it was nice for them to get to experience that together for this first time, and it kind of gave them that taste of what they wanted and what they ultimately achieved later on in the season, actually winning a championship. And I thought it was going to happen for my New York Liberty this season after they beat the Aces in the Commissioner's Cup final back in August. But as we know, the Aces won the title to go back-to-back, first WNBA team to do that in over 20 years, and Jaevon took my $20. So I think it's very important.
Sean, did they pop bottles when they won?
Yeah, they sure did. I'll pull up a photo of it.
See, I don't know if I want the people doing that. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, just celebrate. You won something, man. Well, you got $500K. Man, you should be celebrating. I'm tripping. You're right.
Exactly. And so as we keep things moving here on Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Jaevon Toddy, Gary Singh, episode number 63. Guys, you want to get should we get to the week 11 games first in regard to the Steelers and the Browns and the Eagles and the Chiefs on Monday Night Football, or should we get to last night's or yesterday's games first in regard to Thanksgiving? Just since we didn't have the show on Monday, we kind of have an overlap of 2 weeks of NFL content. What do you guys want to do? Should thumbs up for Thanksgiving first?
Talk about the barn burner in freaking Cleveland.
All right, there you go. That's the first opinion I got, and we got it there. Gary, I asked for your opinions because I didn't know what I wanted. I needed to hear an opinion. Thank you, Jaevon, for that. As the Browns, they beat the Steelers 13-10 on Sunday, and the ripple effect of that move is that the Steelers fired their offensive coordinator, Matt Canada. For fans like Gary, it seems like it finally happened. And the reason why it was so significant that the Steelers fired Matt Canada is because this is the first time that Pittsburgh has fired a head coach or a coordinator mid-season for the first time since 1941. It's been 82 years since this has happened. So, Gary, you are the Steelers expert on this panel. And so what did you think of the game as your Steelers? I'll say it for you, Kevin. The Steelers JV defense lost to Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and then they fired their offensive coordinator. What were your thoughts?
More like their JV offense.
Cleveland obviously got some respect. They beat some good teams this year, and their defense. Did they beat you guys? I thought they did.
Yes, they did. Thank you for the reminder. It was the first of the 3-game losing streak.
Okay, just want to make sure, Mr. JV guys over here. Anyways,
hey, Gary, remind me, what was that score from week 1? What was it like?
All I know is we had a similar record almost.
It was like 30-7, something like that.
Right? I don't know. You guys might be 6-4 too soon. Anyways, I ain't got no. I'm not gonna even pump up my team here. You know, I love my team. They've been doing pretty good this year. Like Najee Harris said, to be honest, I watch my guys' interviews all the time. Like Najee Harris said, you can look at it 2 ways. We're lucky to be 6-4 and we're scraping by wins as we should, or we can say we gotta turn this around because we're 6-4. Like we're getting lucky to be at 6-4. You know what I'm saying? You can look at it 2 ways. And I'm gonna take it as for our Steelers way, 10-13, and we literally it's just a shit show of offense on both sides of the ball, but especially us. You know, the numbers have been poor this year, but you guys probably have all the numbers there. Basically, I wrote in my notes, we can't score, so it's all over. It's pretty much simple at this point right now. I'm not obviously don't want to get no one fired, like you mentioned. Our team doesn't do drastic changes like that, never did. So I really didn't think it was going to happen, to be honest with you. But the noise of Mr. Matt Canada, OC, wanting to be fired by Steelers Nation and everyone else is just crazy. Just go catch one of my favorite shows, Pat McAfee show, and him just going town to town, and they're just fire Matt Canada chants going everywhere. The randomest places too. It's kind of funny. It's not funny that he gets fired because it's a human being, but it's kind of funny. It's like this place is really going crazy. They're not even
Alabama.
Exactly. So like random ass places are going crazy, which was funny to see. But that's how you know it's a problem, man. Our fans, we're wild, and we travel, as everyone knows. And so it was just sad to see because we've won these games. Like we've been scraping out wins here and there. Like even though everyone hates on Kenny Pickett and he's not looking the best, and it's his fault. It's everyone's fault, to be honest with you, on the offense, because everyone's not looking on point and on target at the moment. But he would at least come up with a couple drives. How we got a couple wins this year? Got a couple wins this year. You guys, we got he pulled a couple drives ago. We got to be able to get a kick or we get a touchdown, late touchdown at the end. Pickett to Pickens usually or something like that around those lines. So that was good. We literally had the ball and a chance. We had the chance to be the guys kicking it for 13-10 last week. Literally, that's what's so irritating. Like we really went 3 and out, and they got the ball back in like 15-20 seconds, and boom, their rookie quarterback that hasn't played or whatever you want to say. I forgot. He's basically a new quarterback too, walking in there and doing his thing. So it was a tough one, and yeah, our season's looking pretty bad unless we get the offense together. Because this day and age, at least got to score 24, as we know, at least 24 points to even have a chance to win. And it's sad because, as you guys know, our defense is one of the top ranked defenses when everything's clicking. But the thing is, obviously, if you're literally going out there all freaking day, 3 and out, and your offense isn't doing nothing, it's a big burden, and they're going to slack too a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's like just, it's just like y'all said, JV offense at the moment. It's sad to say, but that's what it is at the moment. It's not the JV defense. The JV defense is not that. It's only that because how much weight they got to carry sometimes. So that's what I got to say about my Steelers at the moment. It's not looking good. I'm happy that we have a new OC. We hired up an OC. I watched his interview yesterday. I'm blanking on his name right now, but it's cool to see him, work up the ranks too and have an opportunity. We got some good things. Our running back duo back there now has been really been doing good as well. So we still got the weapons. We still got the defense. It's all about, and you guys, I know Shaun's waiting for me to be out on Kenny Pickett, and I'm still not out, but I'm holding.
Patiently waiting.
I'm patiently waiting. I'm not going to lie. I don't feel like I said by Thanksgiving, I think I said by Thanksgiving I'll be in or out.
All right, let's hear it then. Let's hear it.
All right, I think I'm 90% out, but I'm not going to lie. I got to give him a 10% chance with a new OC because we're not going to lie. We're running elementary school stuff on offense. All the guys are irritated. That's what everyone's irritated.
In.
Exactly. That's what everyone's irritated because literally we have so much talent. We're running elementary school things. It looks like literally like it's like, what are we doing? Like, can we get some other things going? And we have so many weapons, as you guys know, because everyone wants to draft Steelers players so they figure out, it's not looking good right now for these guys. We're scoring 1 touchdown, and you better hope that 1 touchdown goes to whoever you pick that week in fantasy. So I just feel like until he gets at least a little more opportunity of having some type of offensive guy, I felt like that'd give him a better chance, to be honest with you. But he ain't really creating special and making it happen for us right now. So at the end of the day, I'm 99% out, I guess now. Went from 90 to 99 just right there in 10 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you should.
And the funny thing is we still got a chance to make the playoffs, though. Come on now.
Yeah, you sure do.
They might. That's the great part.
Yeah,
hey,
we got Steelers always seem to find a way.
We got Arizona, New England, and Colts. But I ain't gonna lie, the schedule's been really beneficial this year. We got Bengals again. They, that's a Burrow out. We got Seattle and Baltimore. Looks like we might go on a 5-game winning streak, y'all.
Gary, do you remember a couple years ago? It was probably about 2-3 seasons ago when the Steelers snuck into the playoffs, and then when the Steelers snuck into the playoffs, and then they had to go to Kansas City in the wild card round, and they got the break speed off of them. Yeah, that's ultimately what's going to probably happen to them this year. They could sneak into the playoffs, but then they're going to just get rammed in the playoffs. Real quickly, I did find a photo of the New York Liberty's Commissioner Cup celebration. You can see they were popping bottles and everything, got the trophy all ready to go. So, I would imagine they're going to do the same in the
NBA memories and vibes.
Most definitely. The vibes were immaculate. So, Toddy, what did you think about the Steelers not only losing to the Browns, but also firing Matt Canada, the first coordinator that they have let go mid-season in 82 years?
82 years is insane. So the Rooney family probably heard all the Steeler Nation. Steel City was not too happy about Matt Canada. And I don't know why it took them so long to, make this decision. I mean, this should have happened, last year, Gary? A year ago? It should have been a long time ago. But ultimately, I don't think it's Matt Canada's fault entirely. I mean, yes, they do run a very vanilla basic offense.
Elementary school,
it's
kindergarten,
not
preschool.
Good, but at the same time, Kenny Pickett is your quarterback, so I feel like that's kind of the root of everything. And I don't think I've said me and Kevin are, I guess, Kenny Pickett truthers. We kind of go to bat for him against
Daniel Shaun, I guess,
because Shaun thought Daniel Jones was better than Kenny Pickett, but like me and Kev always say, it's like comparing apples to oranges. They both suck. So I feel like at the end of the day, when Kenny Pickett is your quarterback, you're not going to be able to score points. Like the Steelers wait until like the second half to score points. I have no idea. We don't
wait, bro. We just can't score. We're talking we wait.
I don't think they can't really move the ball consistently. And I feel like that's kind of the root of their problems. I think Warren, your guys' running back, is a stud.
Cooking.
I feel like he should get more carries. I don't really think he should split carries with Najee Harris, even though I think Najee Harris is okay, but I don't think he's better than Warren. I feel like Warren should. He should get the majority of the carries.
1-2 punch.
You got guys like Deontay Johnson. You got guys like George Pickens running wide open, running wide open, and Pickett is unable to locate those guys. Their defense is actually solid. I don't think anything is wrong with their defense. They gave up 13 points. I mean, Steelers can't score. That's kind of what it usually comes.
Our line's not perfect when it comes to the pass game, too. I'm not going to lie, but
they can't score. Kenny Pickett can't move the ball. I feel like that's kind of the root of pretty much most of their problems. They find a quarterback who can kind of help them, spread the ball around and, be able to get guys like George Pickens. And we even saw Deontay Johnson on the sideline kind of, flailing out and, frustrated because he's not able to get the ball. He feels like he's getting open. I feel like he's a guy who can create separation on the outside. And he's not been able to get the ball because Kenny Pickett can't. And he's unable to find him on the outside. And that's kind of usually what it comes down to. And friend of the show, Michael Walker, started for a linebacker for the Steelers, which is actually pretty cool. Got in on a couple of tackles. I thought that was pretty awesome. But the defense is not the problem for the Steelers team.
He's on our team right now?
Say that one more time.
He's on our team right now? Oh, yep.
Yeah,
that's cool. I didn't even know.
Linebacker because Quan got hurt.
I didn't even know. That's crazy.
Yeah, so he's on the Steelers.
Shout out to Cuz.
Yeah, he was like, TJ's a freaking monster. He's like, he's a monster. So
man, that's what sucks because he could have been MVP defensive player conversation if we can win a couple more games here. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how much impact you guys know. Like you guys got some guys obviously like Bosa, who's obviously a killer too, but you guys know too TJ, and also can't forget the guy we just lost to. And I'm forgetting his name for the Browns right now. I always forget his name.
Miles Garrett.
I choose to forget his name because he's the only guy I'm like him and TJ are neck and neck and everything. Damn.
I feel like Miles Garrett is probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Especially that game this week really.
If the Browns make the playoffs, with a freaking rookie backup quarterback after losing to Shaun Watson, and the Browns defense is, keeps doing what they're doing because I think they have the best statistical defense currently right now in the NFL. And yes, that is our guy, friend of the show, Michael Walker, linebacker for the Steelers now currently. But as far as the Browns go, I mean, if the Browns make the playoffs with a rookie quarterback, with the way that their defense is playing, Stefanski, coach of the year, maybe. I mean, he has to be in that. I mean, even if you look at this division, because of, the guys that have kind of already went out due to injury, like a Joe Burrow and Deshaun Watson, those are, two AFC quarterbacks down. So you're kind of looking around. The Bills been playing like shit. The Broncos are, do we trust the Broncos? It's kind of like Kansas City and the Ravens and then everybody else. Like, who else is down to make the playoffs, right? So I feel like those two are like lock AFC playoff teams and kind of everybody else. So, I mean, Gary's, like he said, they're 6-4. He's like, why can't we make the playoffs? And they probably might be able to. I even said a crazy thing during when we were like previewing everything, like who was going to make the playoffs. And I was like, don't be shocked if everybody in this division makes the playoffs by some standard. And I think if you look at the standings right now, they're all. I think the only team
except Bengals.
Yeah, except the Bengals because they lost Joe Burrow. So
because Buffalo's in them instead of them.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be tough, but Pittsburgh feels great because Matt Canada's gone, and so now they think they're gonna score 30 points a game.
No, we don't, because even our players talking about it, we can't have a whole shift change of a brand new offense installed this week, but we also can maybe just have a little, just a little shake up on when plays should be called when and when should we do when, and maybe just I think slowly and surely I feel like it could be trending in the right direction in some sort of way. And at the end of the day, like we're 6-4. So we have a recipe to win. It ain't the most cutest way to win, obviously. It ain't gonna really work against the best team, but in a way is, keep it short, keep it simple, keep it close for our defense to keep you guys at the end. And hopefully at the end we can give you a couple little touchdowns to make it happen, like Vonny said at the end. So that's been our recipe. Obviously, I don't want that. Obviously, I hope we start scoring more in the first half so we can come out. Because if we start scoring, we all know my team can be a Super Bowl threat, to be honest with you, with our defense, with our playing the weapons like you guys know we have. If somehow the offense can become, less reliant on Kenny Pickett and more on our weapons. You feel me? So, all right, Shaun, don't shake your head. Go ahead, Mr. Brock.
I do not want to hear the two words being Super Bowl anywhere near the Pittsburgh Steelers anytime that Kenneth Pickett is the starting quarterback, Mr. 99%.
Yeah, if we had Drew guys as coach in terms of running our offense, maybe we can look like Brock Purdy. Which offensive we got.
Are you no longer happy with the coach that has never had a losing season?
No, I said my offense.
17-year career.
I said my offense. That's why I clearly said my offense. That's why I was actually demoting him as an offensive coordinator from his head coaching position, Mr. Kyle Shanahan. Come back, man. Come back to a little lower level where you did enough success.
No, thanks. I think he'll be all right. But nevertheless, the Steelers will be playing the Bengals this weekend, as you mentioned, Gary. And so before we move on from the Steelers, the Burrow-less Bengals, that is correct. And that is a very important distinction, but let's not sleep on our guy, Jake Browning from Folsom High School. Folsom's currently playing in the Division I championship game right now at Sac City College, and that is where Jake Browning is from. And during Troy Taylor's years, obviously Troy Taylor's at Stanford now, but Troy Taylor led the Bulldogs to 4 straight section titles and a state championship, and that was led by Jake Browning, who's going to be playing for the Bengals this upcoming weekend against the Steelers. So
loses.
All of that said, Gary, you picked the Steelers to win this game, and I know that because of our weekly pick'em that we do as we send our picks to Kevin in our group chat. And so are you basically basing that pick off of the fact that Joe Burrow is out, or is there anything else behind it?
Real quick, I'm 101-53 after a bad week, 7-7, looking good. What did you say? I'm picking my team.
I picked up one game on you, so now I'm like 5 games back behind you.
I know. I feel the pressure. I fucked up this week, man. I picked on my head. I started picking on my heart this week. I thought your Niners were gonna lose. Oh, anyways. What was your question again, Shaun? I'm sorry.
I was just wondering why you decided to pick the Steelers against the Bengals this weekend, if it's only because Joe Burrow is out or if there's any other logic behind that decision.
Joe Burrow is a key component of him being out, because if he was playing, I probably wouldn't pick my Steelers. I'm not going to lie. Also, we always come after losses. We always do good. And, yeah, it's an in-division game, so I feel like we're going to make a couple more clutch plays, and our defense is going to help us out in that department.
Toddy, what do you think of this upcoming game? I didn't see your picks in the chat, so where are you leaning? Because I'm going with the Bengals in this one, led by Jake Brown.
Under. No one's scoring in this game.
What you got, Tony?
Man, it's just, do you go with Jake Browning at home? Browning at home, maybe?
Yes.
Is Jake Browning better than Kenny Pickett?
Yes.
You have no clue, Shaun. You're just saying that.
I don't know.
I sure am.
I can't trust anybody to win this game. So just give me the under. They're not going to score. It's going to be nobody's going to be able to move
What do you
the
mean
ball.
under? Who's winning? You got Bengals.
Nobody's winning. Under.
You have to make a pick anyway to Kevin. You have to say your pick soon.
If I had to pick a team, I would pick the Steelers. Just because
he's probably gonna lean in towards the Steelers because of Mike.
Just because I don't know what Jake Browning is. I don't feel comfortable taking Kenny Pickett either. I don't at all. Fuck it, give me the Bengals. Give me the Bengals.
All right, Toddy is going with the Bengals.
Bengals and the under.
I love it. As
and
Gary,
it's raining too. It's gonna rain.
It is gonna rain.
It's
so
it's gonna be a crazy game. Don't want to.
For our audio only listeners, Gary just had to leave as he was getting a little laggy there. So as he reboots, Jaevon and I are gonna get to our next game from this past weekend, and this is another game that Jaevon did not want to pick. I think you were saying over. You weren't going to make a pick on the game. You were just picking the over. And the game that I'm alluding to is the Eagles and the Chiefs in a rematch of the Super Bowl from this past February. And it went under. And the Eagles beat the Chiefs 21-17 on Monday Night Football this past week. And so, because Kevin's not here, I will ask this question of the both of you. The Eagles are currently at 9-1, Jaevon, which is the best record in the NFL. So, simple question. Are the Eagles the best team in the NFL? Why or why not?
I'm going to say yes for now. The Eagles are 9-1. They went on. This is kind of how they play. If you kind of look at their track record on how they win games, they basically win close games. Like all of their games are, for the most part, pretty close, whether it's playing the Commanders on the road or, losing to the Jets or beating the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. And, last year, the Eagles were up 10 at halftime, but that was in the Super Bowl, and they ended up losing. Chiefs go up by 10, and the Eagles ultimately kind of come back. I think what the Chiefs' problem was the, uncharacteristic fumble by Travis Kelce in the red zone and the uncharacteristic interception from Patrick Mahomes in the red zone. So those two red zone turnovers kind of fucked them. And, the Eagles took advantage. And Jalen Hurts throws a bomb to Devontae Smith. And the tush push was pretty much inevitable because he got brought down at the 1 yard line. I'm pretty sure the whole nation knew what was happening. I don't know what it is with Eagles players getting brought down at the 1 yard line for some reason. They just want to boost Jalen Hurts' rushing yards and his touchdown stats, and they push him. So I think I saw something about Chris Jones was like, trying to talk to rugby players on like trying to figure out a way to stop the brotherly shove, as our guy Kevin Denton usually says. But yeah, man, this Eagles team they've been playing lights out. I think they have a better roster than the Chiefs, and it kind of showed. Their D line is immaculate, making plays all over the place, pretty much all night, and they were able to force turnovers against I would like to say, I think we can all agree, on the best quarterback in football right now, and on the road too. That's another thing, is they went into Kansas City and they were able to, beat the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. So this was a statement game. I think the Eagles wanted to put the whole league on notice. I don't know if Kevin would agree that they were putting the league on notice, because he said we've already been putting everybody on notice. Is probably what he would say. But I mean, hats off to the Eagles, man. That everybody pretty much anoints the Chiefs as the best team in the league, I would say, probably before this game. And they would say probably the Eagles were number 2, and they were kind of neck and neck. And the winner of this game would be the number 1 team in the league. And the Eagles kind of came out and, they handled business. I don't know if a lot of people would have thought that, after halftime that they were going to win this game, because, Mahomes was, looking pretty solid. Kelce was making plays. The run game was going for them. But those 2 turnovers, which did happen in the second half, which was kind of very timely for the Eagles, was pretty much the difference in the game. And a lot of people will say that, oh, Valdez-Scantling, he had a chance to win it at the end. Yes, but there were other chances, earlier in the game that they, could have capitalized on, and they did it. And, the Eagles took advantage of that. Can't wait for week 13, though. That's going to be a thing that we've been talking about since last year. And
we sure have.
I'm kind of mad that this game is not getting flexed to Sunday night. Fox is holding on for dear life for this game. They're not letting go of this game if they're live
midday
because it's in the midday. Yeah. It's in the afternoon slot. I'm not sure what the night game is, but Fox is holding this game hostage and for ransom. And if NBC wants this game, they're going to have to pay a king's ransom for it. And I don't think there's any type of money that they would do because this game is going to probably be the highest rated game of the season, probably. Besides the Cowboy game, the Niner Cowboy game, which was on Sunday Night Football. I'm predicting this gets like 12 million views. A lot of people are going to be watching this game.
All right, Gary, same question to you. After the Eagles beat the Chiefs on Monday Night Football, are they the best team in the NFL? Why or why not?
I'm going to have to say something from my brother Kev. I guess that's fact. I'm going to say the Eagles right now are the best team in the NFL, but the key word is right now. I still believe to be the champs, you got to beat the champs. So I guess they beat the champs, but they didn't beat the champs when it counted, which was the bowl. And I still got my Chiefs, but obviously I'm a Patrick Mahomes fan. I chose them as my pick. So I'm riding with my pick this year of the Kansas City Chiefs going back to back. So at the end of the day, do I feel like they're going to be the best team? Yes, but right now, you could say, I guess, the number one contender, the number one seed, the team playing the best football right now at this moment in week, whatever we're right now, what week are we in? We're heading into week 12, is the Philadelphia Eagles, only losing one game, 9-1. And, one thing I do like about the Eagles, which I wish Kev was on today. I can't wait till Kev comes back on Monday. We all reconvene as four again, because one thing I remember telling Kev when I was back in the beginning of the year of the NFL year was I wanted to see Mr. Jalen Hurts win in different ways. And, he's been proving that this season so far. Like as we know, last year we were knocking them for basically beating everyone to a pulp and, maybe calling a soft schedule here and there. But this year, they've been in different types of games, like you said, Vaughn, trailing in halftime, had to make comebacks, had to make 2-minute drives, be able to, when other teams make a comeback on them, finishing them out. So they've been in a lot of different situations this year where they've been handling business and winning games. So I think they deserve to be the best team right now, number one team in the NFL. I don't think it's a big difference between them, the Chiefs, and like the Ravens as up there. And also I do also feel like the Miami Dolphins are up there as well right now too. So even though they have some things to answer to in terms of the same questions I was asking the Eagles to answer, can you win in a certain type of way? Because in this league, if you like my team showing, you can win in a certain type of way, but to be the best team, you have to prove that you can win in multiple different ways. And and that's one thing I'm still holding for the 49ers, which we'll get to later, which I haven't seen. When Mr. Purdy is down, can he make that come back and that $2 million drill happen? So I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Eagles. I'm not worried about the Chiefs, guys. I think a lot of people are still worried about the Chiefs. You know why? I'm really not worried about the Chiefs. Even though I'm looking, I wrote this stat after last Sunday Night Football game when they lost, Monday Night Football, when they lost to the Eagles. The Chiefs did 26 drops, most of the NFL, as we know. That's the Chiefs offense right now. But like Vaughn mentioned, their defense, man, they were getting after Jalen that first quarter. He figured out in the second half, obviously, flipped and they got shut out and, they were the ones scoring. But he was causing some trouble. So that's something Patrick Mahomes has in his back pocket. Kind of remind me of Brady a little bit, where he always had a good defense. I always said, and they're betting on that. They're betting him to be like Brady, turn some average guys into, which, weren't that average, to be honest with you. Amendola and Wes Welker and things proved to be great players, to be honest with you, and primetime players, So I guess they're betting on him to make these players better. But at the same time, when Tom bet on those players, I like to give those players credit where they were clutch to make those plays. So now, like Vaughn mentioned, Mr. Smith-Schuster last year made a clutch play, even though we all used to hate on him a little bit. He made a clutch play in the Super Bowl. Last year in the Super Bowl, it was a clutch play. Had a couple of good plays in the Super Bowl last year.
He just got pulled on. You know, really.
Yes. Anyways, he made some good plays last year. And he made some good plays in a couple of timely spots last year. That's why he got paid to go to New England. Ain't nothing happened since. So they're looking for Valdez, Scantling, all these guys, Rice. You know, they got some young guys here to someone to take the leap because, you know, Travis Kelce had his 1 turnover per year. He had a bad spot. Obviously, he shouldn't have that. But, you know, he's going to bounce back. I feel like he's going to do his thing still. You just need one guy to just help Patrick out. And when those games come to calling, and when they're there. So I feel like it's going to be able to happen. And I'm really going to trust. Don't forget, man, Andy Reid. When playoffs, you don't think he got plays ready for playoffs. That's what they know this is going to end. They're in a good spot. Their division's pretty much going to be wrapped up here. I feel like the way it's trending. So unless you guys got the Broncos come back from or something like that. Other than that, they got it pretty much wrapped up. So I feel like they got some things. They know what they got, and they know where they're heading towards, and they're champions. So I feel like they're going to, when it's time to call, they're going to ring that bell. So I still believe in the Chiefs, but give the Eagles credit. They're number 1 right now, as they should be.
To answer my own question, I do believe that right now, as you both said right now, you both emphasize right now, the Eagles are I mean, stats over politics. They're 9-1. They have the best record in the NFL. They're 9-1 in back-to-back seasons.
They're whooping ass too.
The Niners are whooping ass, but the Niners also lost 3 games in a row.
Okay.
While the Eagles, they had 1 blip on the radar. They lost to the Jets. The Jets lost today to the Dolphins at home, and it didn't look great with Tim Boyle starting. And, you know, shit happens. The Eagles should not have lost that game at the Meadowlands against the Jets, but they did. It happens. The 49ers, they should not have lost 3 in a row. Perhaps they should have lost to the Vikings with Kirk Cousins because they were playing well. I guess they should have lost to the Browns because the Browns have a really good defense, as Gary mentioned earlier. Should the 49ers have also lost that 3rd game in a row against the Bengals? Probably. Yeah. That's probably the one game that the 49ers definitely should have lost, and they did because the Bengals were just hot, and they beat them, and it is what it is. But to me, yeah, the Eagles are the best team in the NFL right now because stats over politics, it just kind of it's obvious to me. I think that's the best way I can put it. And Kevin said, talk that shit, Shaun. Gary, they know what's up. Yeah. Again, as Jaevon and Gary both emphasize, right now. And I believe that this other comment from Kevin was in response to what Jaevon had to say, where he says, so what you're saying is you're taking the Eagles next week. I will just address it real quickly for myself. The 49ers will beat the 49ers will beat the Eagles next week. And even after they beat the Eagles next week, the Eagles are still going to be the best team in the NFL, in my opinion. Yeah, you could say that the 49ers beat them.
Why,
and
Shaun?
So because the Eagles would only have 2 losses. And to me, that 3-game losing streak is still extremely significant. And also, the Eagles, congratulations. Here's your crown. You're the best team in the NFL in the regular season. Because when the playoffs come around,
now you want to shit
the
on
49ers will be the best team in the NFL. I'm not worried about getting a regular season award. Seems like Kevin loves it, but when the playoffs come around, we'll see who the best team is when the 49ers beat the Eagles, likely for the 2nd time this season, because that matchup is most likely going to be a rematch that we see in the playoffs. I hope we see it in the NFC Championship game, but it could happen in the divisional round as well, as Kevin has one more comment that he wanted to share where he says, best team in the NFC, hands down. My hands are down right now. So, yeah, I guess. The 49ers got 3 losses. They lost 3 in a row. It is what it is. But when the playoffs come around, the 49ers will be the best team in the NFC, perhaps all of the playoffs. But we'll leave it there. Kevin can share his thoughts after the Eagles play the Bills this upcoming Sunday. Another tough game for the Eagles. All last season, we talked about how the Eagles had kind of a cupcake schedule. Well, they certainly don't this season. And they're 9-1 to this point, and you got to give props where they're due. So we all agree the Eagles are the best team in the NFL right now on November 24th at 9:26 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. As we move on here on episode number 63 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Jaevon Toddy, Gary Singh, our guy Kevin Dent is lurking in the comments as he said, Shaquille Leonard got something for CMC. talked to Bowie this morning.
I think he meant to say Howie.
Oh, Howie. Okay. I was about to say, because
Shaq,
I know
the dude who hasn't played in like 2 years, like a year. He hasn't even played all. I don't even think he's played that much this year.
Yeah.
And he hasn't, apparently, I guess, Howie, he's assuming that Shaq Leonard is going to go to the Eagles. That's what he's saying. So, I mean, sure.
Hey, man, they're desperate. They're desperate. They know they need more because when the playoffs come, that defensive line with their boy, Javon Hargrave, and then Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead, and oh, yeah, Chase Young, they're going to be heating up when the playoffs come. And I can't wait for it. As we move on here on episode number 63 of Stats Over Politics, let's get to the most recent game that happened last night being, well, technically, I guess, Jets and Dolphins was the most recent. But for us here in California, the local team being the 49ers beating the Seahawks 31-13 on Thanksgiving as the 49ers get revenge against the Seahawks 9 years later. Richard Sherman, Russell Wilson having turkey with Michelle Tafoya on the field at Levi Stadium. Well, the 49ers did that with many, many more players last night. They basically had all their stars out there, which I absolutely loved. After Debo, Brock Purdy, George Kittle all tossing turkey up into the stands, I saw a fan pull down his COVID mask so then he could bite onto the turkey. And I'm like, why are you even wearing a COVID mask if you're going to eat a turkey leg that just had a bunch of other people's germs on it? Doesn't make sense to me, but Seattle, you're going to be Seattle. It's okay. And so it was the 49ers' 10th straight division win, which is their longest streak. It's their 14th straight win in November or later, which is the longest streak in the Super Bowl era for the 49ers. Christian McCaffrey now has 11 rushing touchdowns on the season, the most ever by a 49ers running back. And the 49ers did that following up on Sunday's 27-14 win against the Buccaneers. So, Jaevon, I'm going to toss it to you first as our 49ers expert. What have you thought about the last two games for San Francisco, especially last night getting revenge in Seattle?
Quick little side note. Brandon Ayuk has 881 receiving yards. Just wanted to put that out there. Shaun and Kevin made a quick little bet that Brandon Ayuk would not surpass 1,000 yards this year. And what where are we?
Week 13.
Week
12.
Week 12 right now, and looks like he's sitting pretty good. And it's looking like maybe he'll break the record in week 13. Maybe we'll see. He's got.
Hey, yo, Kevin. Kevin, I know that you're watching right now. I'll take 95. I offered you 80 a couple weeks ago. I'll take 95 right now.
A cash out offer.
Quick $5 discount. Cash out right now while you can.
Cash is getting the cash out offer ready.
And Toddy, just Kevin had a quick response for that as he says, Brandon Ayuk's not hitting 1K next week. Okay, he doesn't hit it in week 13. He's got like 5 other chances. Run me my money, Kevin.
So, I mean, as far as the Niners goes, Brock Purdy's a stud. Had the pick 6 late in the game. As Kevin says, I'll give you $100 after the bowl.
Man, I ain't waiting that long.
So
Shaun need that right now.
Niners kind of jumped out to a lead early, and I thought it was pretty much the run game that got us going. Christian McCaffrey was pretty much running.
He's at 800.
Christian McCaffrey.
With 5 weeks to go.
I'm sorry, Jaevon. Please.
I'm sorry, Jaevon. Kids throwing in the pot. What can I say, man?
Yeah, that's what he does. He likes to stir. He be podding, as our boy Mr. Barling says.
Hella podding.
But as far as to go back to the Turkey Bowl last night, it was pretty much the run game that got going. Purdy, made a lot of nice, good throws. I thought we got our boy Tyshawn involved. Who is Tyshawn? That is Mr. Deebo Samuel. A lot of people don't know that is his actual government name, but he was our leading receiver last year, or not last year, this past game. And I thought we would have got Brandon Ayuk a little bit more involved, but obviously he had the touchdown, but he only had 2 catches last night. And usually he has around 5-6 catches in a game, and that's statistically, I think it's Purdy's favorite target statistically. This is stats over politics. So defense showed up. Geno really couldn't do too much. He was questionable going into the game, so I didn't really expect him to do too much. The D-line just looks scary and scarier pretty much ever since Wilkes came out of the booth. I think the Niners have only given up like 24 points, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, the defense looks stifling. Purdy's on fire. When Trent Williams and Deebo Samuels play, the team looks unstoppable. And I feel like when we're clicking on when everybody's healthy, every keyword, everyone's healthy,
which is not always the case.
This team is very scary. And last year in the NFC Championship game, we were missing a very key component, a guy that was able to move the ball up and down the field. And when you don't have a quarterback that's able, even when we had the fourth string in Josh Johnson, he was knocked out of the game. So we had to go with Christian McCaffrey as our quarterback and Brock Purdy to kind of go in and just hand the ball off every single play. All roads kind of lead back to the link, as Kev likes to say. Week 13 is going to be a fantastic matchup. I think right now the line is -1.5. So Kev says, I'm not assuming, talk to Howie this morning, Purdy has nightmares of playing the link. So pretty much what I was already kind of talking about. I'm very excited to kind of go back. I think most Niner fans are, anxious to get this rematch that's very well deserved. As the Eagles got their get back on Monday Night Football, I'm pretty sure
talking shit.
I'm pretty sure that the Niners.
Kevin's playing the greatest hits right now. I'm sorry,
I'm pretty sure the Niners will get their get back come week 13 next week. I think the game will be pretty close. The line says so, but it's going to be fireworks next week. I already said earlier in the show this game's going to get probably around 12 million views. The whole world's going to be watching this game because they're putting us in the late window. It's Fox game, primetime games. Probably going to be game of the week. I'm assuming it's game of the week. It's going to be a lot of people are going to watch this game, and this is going to pretty much determine, who's going to be where. Playoff implications. This is probably going to be a rematch of what probably, depending on what seeding, most likely it'll be an NFC Championship preview is what I'm predicting is what it will be. These are people kind of just consider, the Eagles are, 1A and the Niners are 1B in the NFC, and pretty much the winner of this game could almost determine who would come out of the NFC or who will be the number one seed in the NFC.
I completely agree. And there's a lot of great stuff that came from the 49ers win in Seattle last night, as Christian McCaffrey now has 4 games with multiple touchdowns this season and 29 total touchdowns in 25 career games with the 49ers. And in the 3 games since the 49ers acquired Chase Young, the 49ers defense has 15 sacks. If you do the quick math, they're averaging 5 sacks a game with Chase Young. He truly has been a difference maker. And Brock Purdy, just to circle back to Sunday, he had a perfect passer rating against the Buccaneers, and he's the first 49er to do that since 1989. 21 of 25, 333 yards, 3 touchdowns, 158.3 QBR. As 49ers move to 7-3, they are now 8-3. Excuse me. I just love to see it after that 3-game losing streak, as our guy Kevin is pretty active in the comments. He's locked in with us right now here on episode 63 of Stats Over Politics. In all caps, should I scream this? I'll scream it. Only game we had circled was against the Chiefs. Everything else is an easy W. Lions are 1B. Jaguars and Sea Pigeons, let's call it what it is. All right, Kevin's podding hard. So
Sea Pigeons.
We'll let Kevin continue to pod in the comments. But Gary, the 49ers, they beat the Seahawks 31-13. They now have a 2-game lead in the NFC West division standings. And with that head-to-head win, obviously there's one more matchup between the 49ers and Seahawks to come this season, in the regular season at least. But with that head-to-head win, you could basically say the 49ers are 3 games up on the Seahawks, because even if they have the same record as of right now before that second matchup, the 49ers, they would still have the advantage to win the division if they had the same records, just given the head-to-head win. And but before I toss it back to you, Gary, Kevin just reacted with a bunch of laughing faces and said, "Miss you guys, can't wait until Monday." Real quickly, sir. I just remembered the question I wanted to ask Jaevon before we get your thoughts here on this, Gary. If you could wait just a couple more moments, Jaevon, which one of us is taking Kevin's money in the Week 13 game? Are we both going to bet him? Are we going to do like a 50 and 50? Is one of us just going to have a $100 bet with him? Who's taking his money? I'm
pretty sure there will be wagers in this game.
Wagers to be made.
We'll keep that till Monday, right?
Wagers.
Yes, we will.
And I'm pretty sure.
Got to wait for Kevin sitting in front of us to make it.
Yeah, let's make the wager Monday.
It all depends on how Kev feels after this weekend, but I'm pretty sure he'll be feeling pretty good. He's feeling.
Well, you guys do got like 10 days to get ready for this game now.
Boo! Boo! He ain't confident at all. Kevin says no one. Kevin got house bills to pay.
Yeah.
Next year in SF, I'm in. Nah, Kevin. Right. I guess somebody's not confident. Anyways, Gary, you waited long enough. What do you think about this great 49ers win as they've now won 3 games in a row?
Man, I wish I came on when you guys were losing 3 in a row. I wanted to get on y'all. That's bad timing now. But
sucks to suck.
I'm looking at the schedule, guys, and like I guess you can be confident in the Jacksonville win. Dallas, you guys really shouldn't be that confident because you guys always beat them.
We won by 32 points.
Yeah, you guys should be confident. You guys always beat them. So I'm trying to think of legit teams you guys should like really like have been tested this year. I'm looking for tests. The test failed test number 1 versus Cincinnati Bengals. That's on this. The next week is the next test. The Seattle is not a test. Yesterday, I literally fell asleep, guys. I couldn't even tell you what happened in the second half. I fell asleep watching this game. After I ate my food, I posted up in my bed, watched.
Tryptophan.
I'm like, oh man, this thing is over. This is just boring to watch. All the games are pretty much boring to watch, to be also honest. You know, Detroit made it a little bit interesting in the morning, but didn't catch too much of that, to be honest with you, because I was playing a little turkey bowl myself. But man, oh man, you guys are clicking on all cylinders. What can you say, man? That's why I was kind of shocked that when I heard Shaun say, you know, like even if you guys beat them next week, you guys wouldn't consider yourself number 1. You know what I'm saying? Even though the record would say otherwise, I would say, even though I would still pick the Eagles or Chiefs over you guys, if I was a Niner fan, I'd be pretty confident if I beat the Eagles next week, due to the fact that that's who you guys lost to in the playoffs. And when you mentioned, you guys have added a whole bunch. You guys I can't go to this team and try to go to any really negative points. There ain't no really deficiencies I can really go to. Only thing I can hold my hat on as a Niner negative person, whatever you want to say, person that's skeptic, Niner skeptic, and don't want to fall in love because I got so many of you guys around me just pouring that on me all the time, which I hate. That's why I probably picked them this week, which I was hoping would be an upset. Anyway, that was a bad pick. Anyways, I really just think that at the end of the day, I haven't seen Brock Purdy in situations where he's down and out and they need him to do the magic to help them win, and he hasn't came through in that situation yet. And that situation will arise in the playoffs, and it will arise because it always arises in the NFL when it's prime time and, you know, when that calling card is made. Only very few times where you've got carried, I guess you can say, by your defense in a way. And even those guys you can point out, those few players that maybe people might point out to Joe Flacco or something like that, who, you know, had great defenses and carried them to the Super Bowl. He still had to make a couple great clutch plays to win games. Even that year, I guess, when Peyton Manning was basically on his last leg, had a couple plays that win some big games. Even though he's Peyton Manning, but still he was like a really shell of himself at that point. So, you know, there's only a couple of guys that you've seen that teams that really done that, and they still need those plays to be made. And not to say that Purdy can't make those plays. Like, we look at the stats, like you guys stats over politics, even though sometimes I lean towards politics.
19-5.
He's doing great. He's doing great. But like Shaun pointed out himself, those 3-game skid when Debo was out, McCaffrey was hurt a little bit. You guys, I'm pretty Trent Williams was out too. I'm pretty sure one of those games as well. You know, like he was out
all 3.
Exactly. So when there's not perfect And that's not when it's not perfect for Mr. Purdy. I know you've been hearing this every which way. I know it's probably irritating to say. I bet you have a response back because everyone's saying that's only deficiency. But that's the only thing, Shaun. We gotta wait till he steps up to the plate in that 2-minute drill and delivers it. And when it counts most. So until then, you should be enjoying all the wins because you guys are smacking people left and right. And the good thing about it is you guys' team is so great that most likely that situation is only gonna come versus one team. And it's going to be the team you guys face next week. And that's the only time that if Brock Purdy wants to be the man and win everyone over and shut everyone up completely, go beat Jalen Hurts when it counts. Because as you say, Kev is saying, they ain't worried about y'all. And I was really hoping to come on here and talk shit to Kev because I wanted to say, you guys is kryptonite. Both of your teams you guys lost to are the Chiefs. So, that's something I had against you guys. But Kev gets talking shit this week. It's the truth. He's only good when they're winning. Kev said it. I don't know. You didn't
scream it. You didn't scream it. You needed to scream.
I don't think I want to hurt our listeners' ears here, but like Kev said it with all caps.
All caps.
He's all caps.
19-6. Yes.
Whatever you want. Vaughn, you guys have a great team. He should be. If he was anything lower, it'd be a disgrace. Jimmy G was a great record. Let's not go to record now. Because we've seen many quarterbacks do great on this team. Number one example, he literally is out of the game. He's literally done. Jimmy G's not even playing right now. Whatever it is, due to injury or whatever. He's literally not playing. Yes, he is better than Jimmy G. No one's going to refute that. Now, is he going to be clutch when clutch time calls? So far, when clutch time is called, when he is down and out, they have not made a comeback. They are usually done, and they have not done their thing. So that's the only question I got. Until then, you guys should be happy at being number 2 in the league in the NFC, and you guys should be proud of that. And you guys are trending in the right direction. You're whipping ass. And let's see what the schedule is. After Philadelphia, Seattle, W, Arizona, W. One more test in Baltimore, and WW with the Commanders and Rams. So you guys got 2 more tests here coming. Let's see how you guys do get your test. I would say the first test you guys failed already was versus, like I mentioned earlier, to the Bengals and a good quarterback. And the second test you guys did pass, which was you guys, as you guys should have. Not as you should have, but when a good team loses one week, they usually bounce back in a good way, which is a good sign. You guys beat Jacksonville. You guys whooped Jacksonville, and they were on a high rise. They were doing really good. So I'll give you guys credit that you guys are 1-1 in big-time primetime games. Like we keep mentioning, y'all got a whole week. Primetime games that are actually versus 2 great players. 1-1. 2-1. Who you count? Don't count Dallas. We're not counting Dallas.
You can count Dallas. Out Seattle, they're 3-1.
We're not counting Seattle, bro. You just whooped their ass. Seattle's not a fraudulent team. They literally proved it yesterday. You literally said you guys won 10, 15 straight in division. What are you talking about? Don't be pumping up Seattle now all of a sudden.
Dallas
no. You just said they're 3 games over. You got to whoop their ass. There's no way.
They were
not the Russell Wilson Seattle.
They were 6-4 going into that game.
It's not the Russell Wilson Seattle. This ain't the Legion of Boom. This ain't back then when they were showing Crabtree play before the game started. The whole replay of the whole situation again. They were loving that play still. It's not this team, John. We can go by 500 record. Sure, you want to clap for a Cowboy, then you can say you can clap for being Minnesota now. I think they're over 500 now. No, we're not doing that. We're talking about people who have primetime quarterbacks who have proven that they're good. Seattle ain't proven that they're good. They've been proving that they're good in regular season. They ain't proven that they've been good. The teams
that I said playoffs last year.
Yeah, they're proving that they've been good. They didn't win the playoff game. I literally showed 2 teams, which was, again, I give you credit for beating Mr. Jacksonville because they won a playoff game last year, and also then losing to Bengals who won a playoff game last year. Those are the 2 times. No, they're not tested. They're not tested. You have your fucking number. Come on, bro.
Cowboys won a playoff game last year. Cowboys won a playoff game last year.
Oh, you want to take Cowboys? You want to be 2-1?
Gary, why are we moving?
Because you guys own them, bro. You know you do. You're gonna come back when you guys come next week. You guys, we don't worry about the Cowboys. What is it? North? What do you guys say? North Levi Stadium, or whatever. Levi South, or whatever.
AT&T
Levi
East.
Levi South is where the Rams.
Oh, Rams, whatever. So you guys own those. You guys own them, and we're not. Dak. Who are they? First of all, we're good. Are we going to the Cowboys today? I don't think we're going to the Cowboys today because they literally only beat good teams and they shit on opposite. They shit the bed versus good teams and they literally whoop on bad teams. So let's not even talk about them right now.
Hey, look at this. We got a Brother Jesse appearance in the comments. He thinks it's pretty funny how Gary just wants to talk shit about all the 49ers' good wins.
I gave you credit for a win. Oh my God! You
didn't want to. You just discrediting that Cowboys win like it was nothing. 32 points, Gary. 32 points in prime time.
You want to be happy?
Points.
I don't want to go back to the episode. What were you guys saying? But you guys are probably saying this was a cakewalk. It's the Cowboys. We own them. Now all of a sudden you want big time credit for being the Cowgirls. Okay, go ahead. Take your credit. 2-1.
Oh, I do want to. Now that Kev brought up Manny, hey Manny, I know you're watching. Got a bet going on. The Niners will sweep the Sea Pigeons, as Kev likes to call them. 1-0 right now, and we won the game. We won the game on the road. That was the tough test that I thought. Now you guys got to come back to old San Francisco in 2 weeks.
Turkey legs
Just have that
Seattle.
$50 ready for me. That's all I gotta say. You can pay me. I accept all forms of payments. Cash App.
October 29th at 4:30 p.m. Manny Anderson said, "Niners keep playing like this. Seattle gonna win the NFC West." How's that looking, Manny? How's that looking?
Fast.
Life comes at you real fast. As we move on here on episode number 63 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Jaevon, Toddy, and Gary Singh. Our guy Kevin Den is active in the comments, and he'll be rejoining us on Monday. And as we move on, guys, Gary, we will be talking about the Cowboys real briefly, as now we move on to our speedy Thanksgiving Day recap, as we just talked about the other two games that happened in the NFL on Thanksgiving Day. Starting out with the Packers upsetting the Lions 29-22.
Hold on, John.
Go ahead.
Is Jordan Love back? Did he fool us all? Did he kind of just...
You give up on him.
You definitely gave up on him, so I don't want to hear shit from you in your Packers division pick.
Are they going to make the playoffs?
They're looking good too. Shit, that's a good win yesterday.
They could.
Very solid win. I mean, I'm looking here at the numbers. First 12, I had it saved. The first 12 games between it was Jordan Love and our old guy Aaron Rodgers. Numbers are pretty identical.
The guy that's about to come back, apparently?
Numbers are pretty identical. If you look at the first 12 games, when these two kind of first started out and playing, I don't have the numbers. I had it, lost it. But I'm just going to talk about the game. Jordan Love pretty much played lights out. They kind of hit the Lions kind of in the mouth. And apparently when like the moon solstice or whatever the Lions are playing on this little whatever solstice it is, they're 0 whatever. It was a crazy stat that I saw. I think it was kind of too little too late for the Lions, and them doing the fake punt at the end was kind of weird. Or in the beat, like they're down. I think they're only down 7, and they try to do the fake punt. Oh, I have the numbers here. Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, passing yards with the first 12 games of their career to 28-79 to 28 or 28. Yeah, 28-79, 28-79. Passing touchdowns are dead even at 20. Interceptions, Jordan Love has 11. Aaron Rodgers had 10. Completion percentage, Jordan Love's at 60. Aaron Rodgers at 64. QB rating, Jordan Love is at 86.84, and Aaron Rodgers was at 91.2. Their records were the same at 5-7. So I'm not saying Jordan Love's going to be Aaron Rodgers, but I'm
basically
numbers, stats or politics. Kev would be so proud of me for bringing these stats up, but I don't know. This Packer team, they're 1-2 in a row. You know, got the big win over the Chargers at home, and them getting the win over the Lions. The Lions were heavily favored going into this game. They're like minus 400 favorites, and the spread was like 8.5, almost 9 points. So a lot of people lost money betting on the Lions yesterday, and Jordan Love, we can thank Jordan Love for that, but got to give the man his props.
Let's take down real quick the Lions and Mr. Jared Goff, who proves again why he's Jared Goff and why he got traded from the Rams. You know, no one's been talking shit about this man all year. Everyone's been throwing grace his way, and, you know, as he should, get some flowers for his, you know, what everyone thought when he got traded here, they would be done, and then literally they're turning around with their coach and things of that nature. This team's a really good team again, but there's one of those teams kind of like remind me of the Dolphins a little bit, where they don't have enough track record, and they probably get punched in the mouth maybe the first round of the playoffs to really get that experience, to really get one step better. And at the end of the day, I think back-to-back games with Jared Goff having 3 picks, not a good look. basically, if everything's not going well and they don't got him feeling comfortable, when you get Jared Goff uncomfortable, coughs up the ball, it's not looking good because no matter what, they have a great offense. But at the end of the day, when you cough up the ball and you're doing turnovers at horrible turnovers and a lot of them, you're not going to be a good in prime time when playoff time comes around. So that's a big mess up on the Lions. So I will really blame the Lions for this one, to be honest with you, more than I give credit to the Packers. But hey, like Juan said, you got to give him credit. He's stepping up a little bit more. He's making the throws that he needs to make. So you got to give credit to Mr. Love. Trending back in the weird year for him. Started off great, then started shitting the bed and turning around again. So maybe his first year ups and downs. So hey, at least he had a couple ups. He's trending up again. So you got to give him credit.
Well, Gary, the team that you don't want to give credit to is the Dallas Cowboys, who won by 35 points on Thursday, 45-10 against the Washington Commanders. They whooped Washington so damn bad that the Commanders fired their defensive coordinator, Jack Del Rio. So, Gary, I'm tossing it back to you because it's well documented how many Cowboys fans are in your family, including your brother Jesse, who was in the YouTube comments earlier. And so, just what did you make of this Cowboys victory?
Just like Uncle Manny said in our chant, cupcake schedule is over. Prime time is coming right here. Time for some L's to come the Cowboys' way. Give them some credit. They're beating teams how they should beat teams. I would do give them that, because they could be, beating them barely, and then we'd be looking at them, really be hating on them, saying they're barely beating good bad teams. So give them credit. They're beating bad teams. The problem is they haven't beat good teams, and when they play good teams, they're not making it close, like you mentioned earlier. They're getting beat and slapped around like they did by the Niners earlier this year. So they got a semi-good test. They should actually beat them just like you guys did and beat Seattle down as well. The team that they should better the 3 games before the last game, Washington's last game, they have the Bills, the Dolphins, and Detroit. So all those teams have a lot to play for in terms of playoffs to keep the season alive. In the Bills and the Dolphins wanted to obviously fare off the Bills, obviously, and Detroit wants to prove that they can still be on the right track and, obviously wrap up their division. So those 3 teams right there are going to be big tests for them to see if they're really about it, and they really take that next step of becoming a great team. And that's going to be the real question for the Cowboys. So far, they are trending in the right direction. Lucky for them, the division sucks again for this year, so they always rack about 6 wins up already. So good for them again. But at the end of 4 wins, you're right. But at the end of the day, it's still to be determined because we have seen too many times Mr. Dak Prescott not show up when it counts as well. And this defense sometimes not showing up as well, too, in clutch moments. But, hey, I think his name is Deron Bland. He went crazy, right? And he broke the NFL record. So give him credit. Give him credit right there for doing that spectacular thing. So that's what I think about the Cowboys. We won't call them Cowgirls today off a win.
Stingers all the way up. My stinger is so high it's through the roof. You did not know that?
No.
Yes, he went to Sac State. He was on the track team, on the football team. To be fair, he didn't finish at Sac State. He did transfer to Fresno State for his last season. But Toddy, the reason why he transferred to Fresno State is because Sac State sat out the 2020 season in COVID. They just didn't play at all.
Where's Deron Bland from?
I didn't know he was. He's not from Sac though, right?
I think he's from Modesto. Is where he's
real?
actually
That's
from.
cool.
Yeah,
bro. Shout out to him.
Let's see.
We gotta get him on a pod.
Yes, he is from Modesto. As shout out to Kevin John of ABC 10, who said yesterday, as Deron Bland set the NFL record with his 5th pick 6 of the season. Kevin John of ABC 10, he said, and there you have it, the Modesto native and Sac Hornets football product. Deron Bland makes history with 5th pick 6 of the season. So Toddy, he played at Sac State for like 3 years, but then he transferred to Fresno State for his last year. It was when we were there, Gary. It was like 2017 to 2020. And so we watched him play plenty of times during his time at Sac State. But the reason why he transferred to Fresno State for the 2020 season, because Fresno State actually played games in 2020 during COVID when Sac State just sat out the season completely. And he obviously had big goals and dreams and didn't want to take another year of waiting to stay at Sac State. And he is thriving in the NFL so far. And I absolutely love to see it for a guy who's not only from Modesto, but has spent plenty of time at Sac State, as he now has 6. exactly, a local guy, as he now has 6 interceptions total on the season, which is tied for first in the NFL through 11 games. And those 5 pick sixes is an NFL record for a single season. And, he is just going absolutely nuts. And you can just file that under things that I love to see. So, Toddy, what did you think about the Cowboys' 45-10 win against the Commandos?
The Doves, man. I think they were favored by like 13 in this game.
He's making a case.
As Jesse says, defense player of the year. Look, I get it. Set the record by touchdown or pick sixes.
By 1.
I get it.
You sound like a non-believer.
I understand. But there is a guy by the name of Myles Garrett that plays on the Browns.
And TJ Watt. I don't know.
Those guys change the
Can't help yourself, huh?
They change the outcome of games. And I get Deron Bland, albeit I'm rooting for the guy. I mean, I had no idea he was, went to Sac State.
I know. Now I'm rooting for him more because Shaun just pulled a Sac County.
I can't even
Sac
hate on him
thing.
because as a local guy went to Sac State. I mean, you gotta look out for a guy like that. But let's look at what the Cowboys are doing, who they're beating. It's a lot of Giants, Tommy DeVito's, Daniel Jones, Sam Howells. Who else did they do? The Panthers, they're beating these teams that they're supposed to beat. I mean, they beat the Giants twice, and did they beat the Commanders twice? No.
They beat the Rams.
Beat the Rams.
They beat the Chargers. New England.
A lot of teams that have losing records.
Mr. Jets.
As Gary liked to say, who have you played? Who have you been tested by? Played the Niners on Sunday Night Football. They got shellacked by 32 points. To that point, Toddy, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to highlight Jesse's comment because he says, just wait till Deron picks off Purdy. He had his chance and he didn't do it. So you dropped the ball there, Jesse. Go ahead, Toddy. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to highlight that while you mentioned that game. It's kind of the same old Cowboys. I expected them to beat the shit out of the Commanders. I'm pretty sure most people did. They were playing the Commanders, not really a real competition there. When they, like I was saying earlier, their test, who they played. When they played the Niners, they got spanked. Albeit when they played the Eagles, had a chance to win. Kind of had some, Dak takes a bad sack, this, that, and the third. Dak steps out of bounds on the 2-point conversion. It's, you're missing a lot of things. So, I mean, I think it's just, the Cowboys, they're, they look like one of the better teams in the NFC. They're 7-3 at the moment.
They're solid. They scored 40+ in 3 games. I just that's pretty good, significant. I'm not gonna lie, 40+.
Against Commanders, against the Giants, and against the.
But when prime time hits, Shaun, it ain't counting, man. Simple. I'm shaking your head.
They scored. They put up decent numbers against the Eagles when they played against them. They played the Eagles close, who we all agreed that the Eagles are the best team in the league. So, I don't know. Just Dak Prescott, primetime games. We'll see when they play, opponents. If Shaun can pull up who the Cowboys.
I got you. I don't think Seattle, Philadelphia, like I went earlier, Bills, Miami, Detroit, Washington.
Okay, there's some good teams on there.
Yeah, that's a little rough.
Yeah, there's like I meant the 3-game skid towards the end. 3 of the last 4 games is Bills, Miami, and Detroit. Like I mentioned earlier, those are 3 great tests for them right there.
Yeah, those are good tests for the Cowboys. So we'll see how that.
They go 3-0. Shit, then they're knocking on the door. I'll give them credit.
And Kevin says in the YouTube comments, he says the Cowboys are the Vikings from last season. Best team in the league in the regular season. Kevin, no, I think you're thinking about the Eagles, who we all unanimously agreed earlier. The Eagles are the best team in the NFL right now in the regular season right now. You knew I was going to say it. He tossed me the lob. Anyways, Toddy.
Yeah, so pretty much Cowboys beat the shit out of teams that they're better than. We kind of just want to see them. Yeah, we kind of just want to see them go against, teams that will be tested. We'll see them go, as Gary kind of mentioned, those teams that they end up playing in that three game span, and we'll kind of see where the record is after that 3-game skid. So props to the Cowboys for winning by 45 points. If you would have took them in the spread, you would have made a bunch of money. Even in the last couple of weeks, you would have took the Cowboys in the spread, even though the spreads were probably the biggest spreads of that particular week. You still would have won a bunch of money. So if you want to bet the Cowboys against inferior teams, you'll make money.
For sure, you definitely will. As we move on here on episode number 63 of Stats Over Politics, last two segments here as we got two of our recurring segments, and in regard to our third recurring segment that we will not have today because I don't want Kevin making excuses like Gary did all throughout the first season saying, I had too many DNPs. So I've created a rule, even though the pop quiz is still a pop quiz, it's just going to pop up. You guys won't have a warning for it. I have decided, as the administrator of Shaun's pop quiz, that I will no longer have any pop quizzes when all three of you guys are not here. So we need to have all four of us together for there to be a pop quiz. So be on your toes anytime the four of us are together. But since our guy Kevin isn't with us tonight and he's spending some time with family, we will not have one today. However, Kevin's segment, Factor Cap, the show must go on. So, guys, I got one Factor Cap question for you this week, and it is in regard to the San Francisco 49ers. Big surprise, I know, especially for you, Gary. But anyways, the question is, well, it's actually a statement because this is Factor Cap, but I wanted to provide some context real quickly before we address this question. So the context that I wanted to add real quickly is you guys can see this graphic that I'm putting on the screen. This is a picture I took of my television last night of Christian McCaffrey as he now ranks 4th all time in 49ers history with 16 scrimmage touchdowns in a season. As you can see, the only guy who's ahead of him is the GOAT wide receiver being Jerry Rice, which makes Christian McCaffrey have the highest total scrimmage touchdowns by a running back in 49ers history. Above him is Jerry Rice 3 times, who had 17 in 2 separate seasons. And then in the crazy 1987 season, he put up 23 touchdowns. So with all of that said, Jaevon and Gary, I want to know, fact or cap, Christian McCaffrey will break Jerry Rice's 49ers record for most scrimmage TDs in a season. So the 49ers, they have played 11 games. They got 6 more on the regular season schedule. Jaevon, I will toss this question to you first. That would mean that Christian McCaffrey would need 7 more touchdowns through 6 games. Definitely sounds realistic, but Jaevon, factor cap, Christian McCaffrey will break Jerry Rice's 49ers record for most scrimmage TDs in a season.
Well, he didn't break the all-time consecutive record, so I'm going to say that he's going to break Jerry Rice's record. So I'm going to say this is a fact. Just based off of his usage and how we kind of use Christian McCaffrey, he touches the ball a lot, whether it's in the slot or in the backfield. In some type of way, Christian McCaffrey is going to touch the ball in this offense. And we look at Kyle Shanahan and his system and how it's kind of used all over the league. And when you add Christian McCaffrey to that specific system, it's basically on steroids at that point. So he's got to score 7 more touchdowns. We're approaching week 12. He had 2 touchdowns last night. So who's to say Christian McCaffrey can't score, 2 touchdowns a game? I mean, that's almost around what he's kind of been doing this whole year. We might give him a game where he scores 3 touchdowns, and he gets closer and closer to that record. So I'm going to say fact, just based off of how we've kind of been using him. He's almost at 1,000 yards rushing currently. So I feel like that kind of goes hand in hand with rushing and scoring touchdowns. So just based off of how that the 49ers use Christian McCaffrey, which is allow you to touch the ball a lot. I think he'll, stumble his way into the end zone 7 more times. to end up tying the record. But to break it, I think he's gonna need I think at least 1 3-touchdown game in the next for at least the duration of the season. And one of those games, I think he's gonna have a 3-touchdown game, which I don't think is impossible because we've seen him score 3 touchdowns in a game before. So I'm gonna say this is a fact.
All right, Gary. Fact or cap? Christian McCaffrey will break Jerry Rice's record for most scrimmage touchdowns in a season.
I'm a little split on this. I'm not gonna lie, just because this would help my fantasy because I do got him in my fantasy league. But I'm not gonna lie to you also. My fantasy league, all my leagues, I'm shitting the bed. This is my worst fantasy year ever. I'm not gonna lie, it's my first fantasy ever. I think every league I've ever played in my whole life, I've made the playoffs. I've never been under 500. And I think all my leagues, I think only I'm doing good league is actually this league right here. I think this is the only league I think I'm actually doing good in. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, the one that isn't for any money. Cool.
Exactly. That's the worst part. Yeah, exactly. So it's not a good look this year. So I'm kind of leaning towards Christian McCaffrey's like this engine in this system. When he's playing great. He just makes so much big plays and just you could tell he gets energy and this team hyped up. So I don't want to hate on the guy, but at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to get this record, guys. Just due to the fact I think this is cap. I don't think he's not going to be able to break this record. Hopefully, for his sake, that'd be pretty cool to do. I'm not going to lie, because Jerry Rice obviously is a Hall of Famer, and it'd be really cool to see him. He was all those years in the Panthers, he wasn't getting his shine, and I feel like his due of being one of the best running backs in the league. So to see him be on a good team, on your guys' team, even though I hate the Niners in a sense because, just all you guys just spew all your guys' Niners love on me. So it makes the guy want to hate him. But him just doing his thing and being great on this stage has been really cool to see. But I'm just looking at the fact that, hey, you got Philly. It's not going to be some tough defense to get a score touchdown on. You also have the Ravens in the schedule. So that's 2 games, and you need to score at least two. You need to score at least 1 touchdown every game and at least 2 in one game, which obviously is possible because you guys said he was scoring at least 1 touchdown every game. So I can see that happening. But I just feel like that you guys spread the wealth, so you guys always don't know if he's going to be able to get those touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Like Debo might get one. Not Kelsey. Obviously, Kittle might get one. We already know Ayuk might get one. So, it can be a little tough. I think I'm just going to lean on you play 2 good defenses, so there's a chance those defenses don't let him, especially that Philly game, might not be able to get a rushing touchdown. So, I'm going to say cap Christian McCaffrey will not break Mr. J. Rice's TD record in the regular season.
All right, now it's time for me to answer my own question. Fact or cap? Christian McCaffrey will break Jerry Rice's 49ers record for most scrimmage touchdowns in a season. So I just took the graphic down. I don't know why I did that. Terrible producing on my end, but here we go. Let's see it again. 16 touchdowns through 11 games. If you do the math, that's about 1.5 touchdowns per game. And he's got 6 games left. He needs 7. This is a fact. He's going to do this easily. He'll even get, I'm going to even go as far to say he'll get to 25. He needs to get to 24 to set the record. I'll even say he's going to get to 25. Christian McCaffrey will continue to go nuts. Yeah, Toddy mentioned how he did not get his 18th consecutive game with a touchdown as that streak came to an end.
What if he doesn't play at the end?
Well, yeah, that is a great point, Gary.
Commanders. Other guys, they hit their bars too for their, you know what I'm saying? Debo might have some in his contract. Ayuk might have some in his contract. I throw those TDs that way. You don't know how the politics work at the end, guys. Y'all know how that works to make a little couple dollars extra.
Yeah, and that is a great point, but I definitely think that it has a lot to do with next week's game. If the Eagles win, then they are easily going to clinch the NFC because, as we know, it's only the top seed that gets the first round bye now because they expanded the wild card. And so if the Eagles win next week, which Kevin definitely think is going to happen, then Christian McCaffrey could potentially get shut down at the end of the year because if the 49ers are locked into the 2 or 3 seed, what's the point of playing him in the last game or 2 when you're not going to move position-wise? So, Gary, that is a great point. But still, even if he misses the last 2 games, so that's saying that he truly
each game now?
Well, think about it, Gary, because he has 6 games left. Let's say hypothetically he misses the last 2 games.
All right, then the Ravens is technically his last game.
So there's 4. So if that's the scenario, if that is the hypothetical scenario, he has 4 games left in this scenario that you're creating. If he continues with his averages, Gary, then he's gonna get those 6 and he could tie it. Actually, would he tie it or no? He needs no, he needs 7. 7 to tie it, 8 to break it.
The situation that I created is not good. Missed the last 2 games, 2 of the games versus Philly and Baltimore. No. By the way, Shaun, go ahead. He plays all games. He is better. It ain't gonna lie. Statistics-wise, you could lean maybe to a good bet in terms of he passes this record. If I was on Vonny's hotline, this might be a good bet to pick up. But do I just feel my gut feeling is he's gonna be a little short?
Well, if he continues with his average, which is about 1.5 touchdowns per game through the last 6 games, then he'll put up 9 more touchdowns. He'll get to that 25 number that I'm projecting him to get to. But if that situation does happen where he does miss the last game or 2 just to rest, because it's pointless to put the best running back in the NFL out there when the game is meaningless.
Would you want him to rest or go for this?
Oh, I would definitely want him to rest. I do not give a shit about this record.
Okay,
it's cool to talk about. It's a nice talking point. But I mean, Toddy, I don't care about it. I would rather have him for the playoffs than chasing some meaningless record at the end of the day. What about you, Jaevon?
Like if it came down to it, and
last game he needs 1 TD. Is he playing versus the Rams?
I'll have him suit up, and if we get to the goal line,
that's
That's basically what they did in Jacksonville when they gave it to him 4 straight.
That can actually hurt him more too, actually, can't they? Because look at you're not even running all game. You're just going to come in for 1 TD. That's asking for a hamstring pulley.
Yeah, that is a great point.
Or you just say, "Fuck it, no one plays. Play Sam Darnold, let him get some reps." If it came down to it, like if I had to bet my money on it, and it came down to like the last game and we already had like the number 1 seed locked up. Don't want anybody to get hurt. I probably wouldn't play him.
Yeah. Well, I probably wouldn't either, because as we know, he has an injury history, and so why test fate? Why do that? And so, Toddy, I got the screenshots that you sent to me. I'm gonna get them loaded up, but if you guys could just talk amongst yourselves for about 1 minute while I do some producing behind the scenes, I'd appreciate it. As it's time for Vonny's Hotline, which is 4-2 through the first week. And Jaevon, before we get to some of your heartbreak, let's hear about your picks for this week on the Hotline.
All right, guys. So last week we went 4-2. If you guys paid attention to the pod, pretty much we're rocking steady all the way until kind of when we started losing. When so the first game we had was the Kentucky game, or not the Kentucky game. It was I have it here. Yeah, so the first game we had was Duke -4 over Michigan State. And then we had Kentucky +6 against Kansas. Kentucky could have almost won that game, but Kansas kind of pulled it out at the end, and that kind of went that way. Georgia -10 was a breeze because Rocky Top was undefeated all year at home. But pretty much whenever they played Georgia, they kind of get buzzsawed, and that was kind of the case. Georgia just pretty much did whatever they wanted up and down the field, and that was kind of the game. The next game is when it kind of started to get a little bit murky, was the Oregon State -2 game. Oregon State had a much chance to win that game. Ultimately ended up losing by 2 points. And Washington kind of just got I thought Michael Penix did really good in moving the ball later in games and being able to score down the stretch. And that was pretty much the difference in the game, was Oregon State not really being able to score or being able to contain Washington's star receivers, who I think will probably be in the NFL. I'm kind of blanking on his name. It's like Azunde. That was kind of the dude that was pretty much doing whatever he wanted to Oregon State DBs. Ravens -3.5 on Thursday Night Football was kind of he kind of chalked it up a little bit. Joe Burrow did go out in this game that, kind of hindered the Bengals from really even scoring as much. Jake Browning kind of entering the game and trying to be able to move the ball didn't really help them out. I saw it. I texted in the group chat. I was like, oh, Joe Burrow, he can't really grip the ball. And I was like, I kind of got, flashbacks to when Brock Purdy wasn't really able to throw the ball or grip the ball. And I was like, oh, that's not good. Ultimately, it ended up saying later coming out that he was out for the season with what is it, like a wrist injury or what? I don't even know what it was that he was kind of. They're like, yep, Joe Burrow's out for the year. Well, what's his injury? Out for the year, guys.
Something, leg, wrist, something, because he was injured up.
Yeah, and then we had the over in the Monday Night Football game, and Monday Night Football unders or primetime unders in general have just been on a freaking killing spree. So unders, primetime games, just at the under.
I got the heartbreak loaded up if you wanted to talk about that real quickly.
That was going to be at the end of.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, so you guys are wondering,
let's hear it.
What are we talking about for this week, man? You're talking about all this shit last week. Let's get into this week. All right, so we're going to start early tomorrow, 9 a.m.
I hate this.
Noon kickoff.
I hate it.
We got the Ohio State Buckeyes traveling to the old big house where they somehow indirectly got old Jim Harbaugh removed from this game.
It was us? It was us?
I'm going to say that Ohio State definitely has something to do with it, but that's neither here nor there. We got Michigan State, -3.5 over Ohio State.
University of Michigan.
Or I said Michigan State, yeah. We got
upset.
We got Big Blue. No, they're favored at -3.5.
Okay.
So I got them over Ohio State. I don't think Kyle McCord is going to be able to move the ball on this defense.
Ooh, undefeated teams, huh?
I think.
Yep.
Basically, the winner of this team is basically going to. This is a spot in the playoff, pretty much, because ultimately the winner of this game is going to probably win the Big Ten championship game, and the winner of the Big Ten championship game is going to get into, or the winner of, if Ohio State or Michigan, usually whoever wins this game is going to win the Big Ten championship. Whoever wins that will get into the playoffs. So a lot on the line for this game, and Harbaugh will be non-existent on the sideline. We saw them play against Penn State, who I would kind of compare Ohio State a little bit to
top 10
Penn
team.
State a little bit in a top 10 team. Yes, as Shaun was saying. So we'll see what J.J. McCarthy does. I don't know if he throws for a lot in this game. I feel like it's going to be a similar style to when they played against Penn State, of them just, you're going to see a lot of run action with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. I think those are going to be the stars of the game, in my opinion. I don't think we'll see as much of Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, I get he's going to be a top 3 pick, but what I think in this game is going to be Kyle McCord is not going to be able to have time to throw the ball and get Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball. And I think if Michigan or if Ohio State loses a game, I think we're going to start hearing things about Ryan Day being on the hot seat and maybe finding another job, just because of it would be the 3rd year in a row that they lost to Michigan, and Harbaugh's not coaching in this game too. So I think we'll have to start looking at Ryan Day and, them kind of being like, is he the guy moving forward? I'm not sure. That could be ludicrous because Sean's like, we made the playoff last year, but this game is the biggest rivalry in college football, and I feel like a lot of guys in Ohio State are like, all right, we can't be losing to Michigan 3 years away. I don't give a damn if we just went to the playoff. We need to beat Michigan. It's that important. That's how big this game is.
How many times in a row did Jim Harbaugh lose to the Buckeyes without being fired? And you're saying 3 for Ryan Day? Come on.
Yeah.
So, Harbaugh lost like 5 in a row.
5 in a row is crazy. He should have won the first time that or it was the 2016 game where they got cheated.
Curtis Samuel got that first down though.
Didn't get the first down, but got Michigan -3.5 in that game. Moving forward, I think this is another 9 a.m. kickoff, 9 a.m. 12 Eastern game. Texas A&M versus LSU. We have the over at 66.5 in this game. LSU averages like 45 points a game by themselves. So just look for a lot of scoring in this game. They scored 45 in their last 3 games, or they averaged 45 points in their last 3 games. And last game they put up 56 points. Now Texas A&M has to carry a little bit of the load in this game. I expect them to kind of go back and forth probably early in this game, but LSU is like favored by like minus
13.
like 400. I'm seeing 13 and a half. So Vegas thinks that they're probably going to beat the shit out of the Aggies here. But I think there's going to be a lot of scoring because LSU does not like to play defense for some odd reason. And they've hit the over in the majority of their games this past year. So I'm going to rock with the over at 66 and a half. And
damn.
Yeah, it's a lot of points. A lot of points are going to be scored just because they score a lot. So
I get some good money on that one.
Don't be afraid of that. We're going to go later in the day. I think this is like a 4:30. This is probably a CBS game if I'm not mistaken. We're headed to Auburn for the Iron Bowl. Alabama versus Auburn. Now, this is usually a game that's very competitive, but this year I don't see it being competitive. I have Alabama minus 13 in this game. Auburn just lost to New Mexico State last week. A pretty convincing loss. New Mexico State, not really a Power 5 school, if I'm not mistaken. Auburn cannot move the ball consistently at all. I get it. A lot of people are saying, well, they played Georgia to the death and this, that, and the third. I get it. That was early in the year when Georgia was still trying to figure out themselves. Carson Beck was trying to get into the swing of things, figuring out the offense. Now they're pretty much rolling, beating the shit out of teams now. Auburn, not so much. Alabama's kind of found its stride ever since, losing to Texas ultimately, and that's kind of why they've been out of the playoff race with that one loss. They've kind of been beating the shit out of teams as of late. And I get this is a rivalry game, and, they had the historic game where, what was it, Chris Davis, he returned the kick all the way back off of the missed field goal.
Those been some epic games right here between these two.
It's been a historic matchup. Going all the way back to when Bo Jackson was there. Even Cam Newton talks about the Iron Bowl and how much it means to him, and just how much it means to.
I ran that kickback. I remember that one.
Yeah. How much it means to just Auburn and Alabama fans. Like Auburn fans hate Alabama. Alabama fans hate Auburn, and it's one of those. Obviously, it's rivalry week, so it's one of the bigger rivalries in college football. As I already mentioned, that probably Ohio State, Michigan is probably the biggest, but this is one of the biggest rivalries, I think, as well. But I think Alabama beats the shit out of Auburn next week or tomorrow morning, or tomorrow night is when the game is. So we're gonna go with Roll Damn Tide minus 13. All right, so we're gonna move into a couple of NFL games. So the first game, I think I'm not sure what time these games are, but we're gonna go with the Philadelphia Eagles. Got the Buffalo Bills traveling to Philly.
Midday.
It's a midday
CBS
game.
It's going to be a good one.
Bills are shit against the spread. I'll just say that right now. They're one of the worst teams against the spread. If I'm not mistaken, the Eagles are like 8-2 against the spread. They kill the spread. They cover. Good teams win and great teams cover. And I think Philly is one of those teams that are very good at covering. Gary disagrees with me on that every time I say that statement. But pretty much every time I bet on the Eagles this year to like cover, they won. And I get Kev as the Eagles fan and this, that, and the third, but we see green over here. And I get the Eagles are, I think they're going to be wearing their Kelly green uniforms too. Kev might be able to back me up on that. I'm not too, I would like to probably double check that, but yeah. Eagles have been pretty good against the spread. Love the Eagles in this game. The Bills are kind of very spotty team. Haven't really been playing too well. They're 3-8 against the spread, so they're not that good. They're not that good. And this stats over politics. Bills traveling to the link. This would be a pretty good statement game if the Bills were able to come out on top. Go ahead, Shaun.
I can confirm via ESPN that the Eagles will be bringing back the Kelly Green jerseys for this game against the Bills.
Kelly Green, baby. So why not? And the Eagles are 4-0 at home. 6-4 against the spread. Like the Eagles -3 here. Next game we got here is got Cleveland traveling to old Mile High. Denver Broncos, baby. We're rocking with the Denver Broncos -1. I haven't bet Denver all year last year. I've been very, very skeptical on. No,
maybe they don't make you.
I definitely
make you pay for that.
I took the Broncos live when they were playing the Commanders earlier this year, and they lost that game. Like the Commanders got up early. Russell Wilson hit like a Hail Mary to like tie the. Like to go down by like 1 point or some crazy shit like that. And it came down to like a 2-point conversion and they couldn't convert. And I was heartbroken. The last time I bet on Denver was like last year, like Monday Night Football when they lost to Geno. And I was like, bro, I'm never betting the Broncos ever again. But
good time to bet on them. 4-game win streak.
Yeah, the Broncos are hot, man. And I get it. Cleveland has kind of been that weird team. DTR on the road. I'm not too sure how he's going to look in Mile High. I like Denver here, even though this Cleveland defense is the best defense in the league. I get it. I just don't know if the Browns are going to be able to move the ball and score efficiently. So, yeah, man, I'm betting on freaking Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. Denver.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Let's ride, baby. Broncos country. I'm excited, man. We're going to get the juices flowing with that Denver -1. Last game we have on here is the Baltimore Ravens traveling to L.A. Business trip to L.A. Ravens -3 is the pick here. The Ravens have been they have the best team in the AFC currently at 8-3. They've been pretty good against the spread. I can't say the same for the Chargers. The Chargers have been losing these weird games that they're supposed to win.
Forever. 0-5.
It's like the entire 3. It's like literally the entire freaking year. Like they'll be winning these crazy games, and like last week when they were playing against, the Packers, they just figure out a way to lose. And I don't know how this
Lions.
I don't know how this team like is so talented, and they're 4-6.
Their defense stinks.
I'm astonished that Brandon Staley has lasted this long as the head coach for this team.
Oh, he's getting booted at the end of the year.
Yeah. So I guess they're probably just going to wait it out, give him the common courtesy to finish the year out. I don't know why you would do that. I think you kind of just rip the Band-Aid there. And they might even fire the GM too, Telesco, because
DCOC.
This is his third.
Get them all out of it.
Yes, they might clean house here.
Making my guy look bad.
Love the Ravens here. Ravens obviously were on the hotline last week, covered for us on Thursday Night Football. We saw Odell. I think he had his first 100-yard game and however long it was. We saw Zay Flowers going off. They did lose Mark Andrews. But
my fancy guy in all my leagues.
I'm very confident in this Ravens team, just the way that
I lost Burrow.
So we're gonna go with the Ravens here -3. Got a couple sprinkles, not something I'm gonna put on the hotline. But as Shaun mentioned, these were the plays that we had earlier tonight. This was a heartbreaker.
Sorry, Gary.
This was a heartbreaker that we had. Halliburton, we were trying to get we were pushing for Halliburton to get 13 assists. It's a lot.
Close.
Man. It's a lot. We had Jalen Brunson. He covered
13 assists is hella.
At the last second, Victor covered for us like in the last 5 minutes, and then we had
top one.
Bucky Irving. He's a running back for Oregon. He's more of a hybrid back for them. They wanted him to have like almost 100 yards rushing. I was like, he hasn't even came close to anything near to that. So I thought Halliburton was.
Who's Max Kelsey Irving? Who's that?
He was the running back for Oregon.
Okay.
He's more like a hybrid running back. I don't think he's gonna rush for that many yards.
Even though like Kyrie for 94 points.
Halliburton.
Like, goddamn, that's a big money move right there, Von.
Right.
Halliburton was, I thought, would have been the most automatic thing. Like, I thought I didn't even have to think about him. He's going to hit. Brunson made us sweat out the most because he got fouled at the end, and he needed at least one free throw to go over. And he only made one free throw and missed the second. So that was kind of crazy. And then the other one that we had, because I didn't think this was going to hit, so we made another prize pick. I think it was, the second one was.
You need to charge your phone, Bond. 7%, my guy.
Yeah, we're dying. But we had another prize pick too. I think Victor was on there. And we had Victor for points.
You got that picture, Shaun?
We had
I
had Harden over an assist. Yeah. Oh, as Shaun posted up. It's not showing Steph Curry's attempts, but his attempts, he had 13 attempts, so we hit on attempts for him. Zion Williamson is a guy that's fucked me.
Damn, you hit on this or no? You went away.
Nah, these are both heartbreak.
Because Zion went over.
I wish you heartbreak right now.
Zion had like 30. And every time I bet on
you shouldn't do that. We got our ass whipped by him. He's whipping everyone's ass right now.
But every time I pick Zion in points, he always goes under. And every time I pick him to go over for points, he goes under. But when I pick him to go under, he goes over. So
I'm gonna make a phone call for you.
Couple prize pick sprinkles we got for tomorrow for the college football season. So I had
a code out there. Use Von's promo code. Get your prize picks.
Man. Right.
50 for 50. Then you get to no match your offer.
Use code SOP, Stats Over Politics.
Oh yeah.
But what we're trying to do is we're sprinkling for tomorrow's games. Kyle McCord. I already was talking to Shaun about this kind of
talking some shit.
Talking before the game. Kyle McCord under pass yards. I think Michigan's defense, one of the best defenses in the country. The reason why I'm picking under on this, it's 238 yards is basically what his over is. I just don't think he'll have time to throw. I think Michigan's D-line is pretty stout, and he's not really going to have time to throw, so he's going to be under duress the entire game. So he won't be able to get guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball. And I just think Michigan's defense is going to be all over him the entire game. And I'm gonna be pretty excited to see. Another guy that we're looking at is we had LSU and the Texas A&M game in the over, so we're gonna rock with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels has been we're gonna rock with his over. Now it's 320 yards. It's a lot, but he's been averaging like 325 yards a game. He's a Heisman candidate just because his numbers alone. He's been slinging the pill. He's been dealing the pill like a shady pharmacist. As I forget the guy's name that I got that from. I think it was J.D. Piquel is the guy I got that from. But he's been dealing the pill like a shady pharmacist, and he's been slinging it, man. And I think his over in yards is going to be pretty easy. I don't really see him not hitting this. I just think. I'm pulling his numbers up right now. He's got 36 touchdowns, 4 picks. So the guy's been, and he's at 3,500 yards. Jaden Daniels has been, he's been putting on a masterclass, and I think he'll definitely be a Heisman finalist this year. So we'll probably see him in New York when it's time for the Heisman to kind of get announced. I don't know if he'll win it just because his record. I think LSU has like 3 losses so far, so. He doesn't have the season as, guys like a Bo Nix or, other guys out there. Michael Penix. They're not having playoff implications, so don't know if he'll win the Heisman, but I think he'll definitely get to become a finalist. Moving on, we're going to stay in the morning game and the Michigan game. I was talking about Kyle McCord, how he's not really going to have that much of a passing day. I think it's going to be a lot of run heavy styles in this game, and I'm going to rock with Donovan Edwards for the Michigan Wolverines, the running back. I think he should be the starting. He splits reps with Blake Corum. Blake Corum is the number one guy. But since he's kind of like the number 2 guy, Donovan Edwards is a guy that I'm kind of looking at. He's only at about 36 yards, basically, with his over is 35.5. Love those odds, and him being splitting reps with Blake Corum. I think he's the more explosive back of the two, and I think he'll definitely hit that just based off of how this game will be. I think it's going to be very run heavy, and we'll see the two of those guys kind of going at it. So Donovan Edwards for over in rush yards. Going to go back to the LSU game in receiving yards is kind of what we've been looking at. So we already mentioned Jaden Daniels was the guy we already mentioned on him hitting his over in pass yards. Who the fuck is going to be throwing the ball to? Well, look no further here. He's got 2 studs. I think he's playing with 2 NFL wide receivers. That and Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. They're kind of neck and neck as far as the receiving yards goes. I'm pretty sure Thomas has or Neighbors is the guy. He has 1,400 yards receptions or receiving yards, and Thomas has 1,000 yards receiving. So you can't really go wrong in either of these guys in receiving yards. Malik Neighbors is at 118. I know that's a lot, but he averages around 120, 125 a game. So Brian Thomas is at 83 yards. He's at his over is 83 yards receiving. So you really can't go wrong with either of these guys. It's kind of more of a pick your poison thing, because I think both of these guys are going to hit their overs just based off of the amount of points that these guys score and the amount of yards that Jaden Daniels throws for. So you can really go with Neighbors. His over is 119, which is a lot, but don't be afraid of that. He could get that in 3 catches. And then Brian Thomas, same thing. Like I already mentioned, both of these guys are NFL wide receivers. LSU does a pretty good job at putting out star wide receivers. I don't know if you've heard of, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Odell Beckham Jr. These are guys that they usually put out. So, and these guys put up numbers, and LSU has a knack for finding these guys and producing NFL talent at the wide receiver position. So Malik Neighbors or Brian Thomas for over in yards. Can't go wrong with either or. So kind of pick your poison for that. But my lock out of the two would definitely be Kyle McCord under in yards, because I don't see him going for. I don't see him going off. If Kyle McCord hits his over, Ohio State will win this game. I'll just say that. But I don't think Ohio State's going to win. So can't wait for tomorrow.
And when. Yeah. Well, we got the ticker going, but just for the audio only listeners, let's hear a quick summary of this week's 6 picks.
Yeah, so basically, for tomorrow, basically, we are rocking with. We got Michigan over. We got Michigan over Ohio State at -3.5. We have Alabama -13 against Ole Auburn in the Iron Bowl. We have the over in the Texas A&M LSU game at 66.5 points. We have Broncos country -1 against Cleveland. Got to pray for me on that one. We also have the Ravens traveling to LA on a business trip. The business trip in LA, you never go wrong with that. Ravens -3 over the Chargers in LA. And then we got Philly -3 over the Buffalo Bills. Bills are in shambles. I get they just beat the shit out of the Jets, but got a real test coming in Philly. So after they just came off of a huge win on Monday Night Football. So those are the picks. Parlay at your own risk. We went 4-2 last week, so you would definitely be profitable. So we'll be locked in Monday morning tomorrow. So Ohio, baby. Ohio, baby.
Go Buckeyes, OHIO.
Harbaugh's going to figure out a way to call plays from the sideline. He's gonna come in dressed with the mustache. As
just like Connor Stallions.
I can't wait.
Go Buckeyes. Well, Jaevon, I had a family member tell me last night at Thanksgiving dinner when it comes to betting, because he was asking me if I was active at all. And I was like, no, I was last year, not so much this year, just because kind of like Kevin said, I got bills to pay. And so the thing that he did say to me, though, is if you're hitting on more than 50% of your bets, then you are a skilled gambler. And Jaevon certainly hits on more than 50% of his bets.
Shit, take mine too then.
Right? I know, right? And Jaevon, or excuse me, Garry also hits.
Gary's
on
like
a lot of
100
his
and
picks.
something for his.
I just did my percentage. I'm hitting 67%, 111 and 53. Y'all.
Hey, that's 2/3 right there. 2 out of 3.
Bad last week, but I don't think I have a week under 500 since the week 1. So let's get it cooking. Go watch out for them picks from all the guys. We all pretty much over 500, killing it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a real bad look if any of us were under 500. So we just gotta keep on stacking them. But anyways, that's gonna do it for episode number 63 of Stats Over Politics. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. It helps us a lot. And if you enjoy the show, hit subscribe to get notifications when we go live. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Stats Over Politics and on X at Stats Over Politics. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms. And if you're enjoying the show, give us 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. As you've been tuned in to episode number 63 of Stats Over Politics, I'm your host, Shaun Holko, and for my guys, Jaevon Toddy, Kevin Dent, and Garry Singh, we'll catch you all on Monday for perhaps a little talk about the Eagles getting upset by the Buffalo Bills. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But our guy Kevin will be back with us on Monday, and the Fantastic Four will be back together. So we will see you all then. So we appreciate you for tuning in. As she says, good show, guys. And we will see you all again on another episode of Stats Over Politics on Monday for episode number 64.
Peace.